The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Watch it. Watch those ballots. Watch what's going on. You don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that? To peacefully and patriotic vagina. They're eating the corn. They're eating the
You know, none of this is real, right?
You, sir, can eat a bag of dicks.
Give me liberty or give me death!
Baby, see you in the OnlyLands.
What's up, fags? Well, how do we do this?
Was that an accident?
Sponsor is visible.
I don't know, but you said "What's up, fags," and then put yourself on the screen. So
exactly. Cell phone.
I guess we can't. All right, there's our sponsor down there. I guess when there's 4 of us, when somebody no-shows, it's not visible. That's okay.
Who's no showing on us today?
There we go. That works. How about... Okay.
Getting closer.
Yeah, we could... Can we put something in the middle?
Turn us into squares and put us all across the middle.
Yeah, I'm saying...
No, like actual squares.
How do we
Oh, we're trying to do a commercial right now?
This one?
No, we're trying to run a
this
setup.
second.
When you click on one of the frames and then hit edit and then click on each camera and you can change it from a rectangle to a square.
I can change each one to a square. Whoop.
So on this one, you can go and change it to a square.
Dude, I'm getting nauseous.
Right here.
Moving us around.
No, I just full screened everybody.
Alpha, tell them the section in the StreamYard to go to.
Hold on, I gotta open up another one so I can see.
I mean, this is fine for now. Anyway, guys, welcome to OnlyLands, episode 70. Things are going really well so far. With me leading things off here. We're going to get to our sponsors in a minute, and we will figure out a way to display our sponsor at the bottom. But how's it going, guys? We now own
good,
Venezuela.
man. I've been prepping for a little fantasy football draft Sunday. How about you guys?
I have not. I haven't done that. I missed the boat on the
keepers.
Yeah, I didn't know we were changing everything up because I've had that chat on silent.
I see. That's it's not a good idea to tune us out like that, man.
You got to pay.
I was expecting you to keep a couple of those players. Did you have Jonathan Taylor? Who had Jonathan Taylor last year? Because somebody dropped the ball and dropped.
The thing is you can only keep someone that you drafted.
Right.
Yeah.
But like somebody like, was it JB?
I think
he dropped the ball too.
He had Jonathan Taylor. Well, JB is just now getting back into it. I don't know if you guys saw his post. He's coming back next week on Monday.
Is he? So he's been tuning us out too.
He's alive?
I didn't know what the keepers thing was. So you get to keep the guys from last year that you drafted?
If you drafted them from the third round on, like first and second round draft picks are not eligible. And then you give up a pick 1 round higher than you picked that player last year. Like, for example, I drafted Javonte Williams in the 11th or 10th round or something, I think 10th round. And he kind of kicked ass. So it was like, okay, I want to keep him. And I only give up a 9th round draft pick to keep him. So not everybody has people that are even worth keeping. So,
I prefer to just kind of do the honorable thing and draft like a grown man.
Yeah.
Instead of, trying to play these games, these fiat games everybody else is playing from previous seasons and all that. It's a new year.
I'm just playing I'm playing in their battlefield, man. I'm just playing by their rules.
I don't know what it is this year. I as a Patriots fan, with the big resurgence we had last year, I feel like I should be really excited about football, and I do like football, but I am just not even a little bit excited, and I don't know what it is.
It's
not
hard to
into
get
it this year.
It's hard to get yourself up for something that is super gay. Like the sport itself is not gay, but the way the NFL does it is gay.
I'm not even mad at anything right now in terms of politically, a few years ago it was hard.
Dude,
but
I'm fired up about football.
What's your team? Isn't it the Niners?
The San Francisco 49ers, baby.
They're out here banging hookers. Their owners banging hookers.
Dude, you know how many people from my own audience were sending me that shit? I'm like, y'all are wrong. You guys are wrong. It's like,
it's okay if your guy's doing it.
So what I was waiting for, I was like, this is bad, but the lady boy part's gonna come out later. Like they're gonna find out that the prostitute was a lady boy.
Oh,
so I was like, waiting.
Was it John pointed out on Wednesday night the USS Abraham Lincoln is getting they're doing a little pit stop in Thailand on the way home.
Oh no.
So, his speculation on Wednesday night was maybe this is a little bit of a humiliation ritual on whichever good old sailor boys were leaking to the press and making up stories about how bad everything was. Be like, why don't you go bang some male hookers on your way home? Why don't you take the long way home?
We've got a special bar for you. Just pick up on any of the girls in there and help yourself.
See, I think the reason I'm not excited is an odd one. Like post Brady, the Patriots have been bad. There's no secret about that. But they always get you to buy into the hope, right? We drafted Mac Jones. It's like, oh, like that's exciting. And then it was terrible for 2 years. Cam Newton thing didn't work out. Then we draft Drake May, and it's like, oh, all right, let's see, let's get excited. And then, of course, overperformed to the moon. But then I feel like if we had gotten to the playoffs and like won one round and then lost some kind of competitive game, I'd be really excited. But it's tough when the first year you overperform so much and then get completely smoked in the Super Bowl. You're like, so how do I judge this coming season? Like, we probably shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl, but we were there and got absolutely destroyed. So what is the bar? I think a lot of people in New England right now are like, we don't expect to be back in the Super Bowl, but we're technically better on paper than last year. And we'll see if we have like the easiest run through the playoffs ever again.
Yeah, it's like you're sort of the victim of your own success. Like you got further along than you expected, and now it's like, okay, well, there's only one rung higher than that, and that's winning the Super Bowl. So like that's got to be your expectation. Now, as a Raider fan, I expect it every year, and it never happens. And then I'm not really disappointed, but I do like the preseason and the off season, because the off season, like the draft, is like where I have hope. You know, oh, look at all these look at all this young talent we have now. Things are going to be better this year. And then the preseason starts and they get on the field and all that hope is dashed like in an instant. Or maybe they even look good in the preseason, but then first game of the year, it's like, oh no, it's just more of the same. And I mean, you guys, I love the beating, dude.
You guys, the first time I've seen an elite, like, very famous player get traded catastrophically and then they declined it afterwards. Exactly. They're like, no, man, like, you got to take this back.
Yeah,
so you burned all the goodwill. Like, the team dynamics are destroyed.
Yeah, the captain of our team. Captain of our team was technically a Raven for like a week until
they're like, we didn't want you at all, but we literally have to play you now, and this is the worst.
Now you're back.
So
awkward.
It should be good.
It's
you got some Hispanic kid now as quarterback, right? Is he going to play?
Which should play well with our Hispanic, a very, very Hispanic fan base.
Who's your quarterback?
Fernando Mendoza, but he's not gonna. He's
your quarterback's
not gonna
Kirk
play.
Cousins, bro.
It's gonna be Kirk Cousins.
Your quarterback is Kirk. I've sat here long enough listening to you as an Atlanta Falcons fan, as a fan of a terrible fan base, and a team that's never won anything and gotten to the mountaintop.
She got close.
Jay, just be appreciative of the games that really matter when you get wins. That's all that matters. All the other stuff, stop spending all your time worrying about the draft. They're just gonna let you down until they prove it on the field. They're gonna let you down,
I know for a fact after 20-something years of the same rug that I get on and have it completely yanked from under me, I know what to expect now. It's to expect like them to maybe win 3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
at the end of the season.
Behave.
Yeah.
Behave.
By about mid-October, I'm basically rooting for them to lose the rest of their games so we can have the number one pick.
3 or 4 games.
It's typical of my team.
Alpha, I know you've never heard of this guy. This is the new quarterback of the Raiders.
Oh yeah, Montoya, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It works.
Fernando Montoya or whatever the hell his name is. All right, let's thank a couple sponsors, then we'll get into whatever we're getting into.
Yep.
Which should be strange. That's all I'm here for. All right, let's continue to be as smooth as I can possibly be. We are first brought to you by our friends at Alp. Tired of nicotine pouches drier than your ex's texts? Meet Alp, the moist flavor bomb pouches that actually deliver, while the other guys taste like grandma's dusty tea bag. Alp hits you with bold flavors and 20 pouches per tin. That's 5 extra hits of satisfaction. 3 milligrams for chill mode, up to 12 milligrams for I just saw that, the group chat energy. Well, I need that because I missed the draft stuff, I guess. Alp, because your lift deserves better than a desert. Grab yours at badlandsmedia.tv/Alp. Use the code Badlands for 10% off and finally have a better time. That's badlandsmedia.tv/Alp. and we'll just sit here. I have the power to take this off, but I'm not going to.
Nope, let's do the whole thing.
Okay, we are also brought to you by our good friends, and now it's kind of turning into a long-time relationship here, not just a side hoe, where I feel like putting down some roots. We're becoming common law. Everybody's feeling the bliss from Earth Echo and Cacao Bliss. Cacao. This episode is brought to you by Cacao Bliss from Earth Echo, a ceremonial grade cacao drink with 7 superfoods to curb cravings and protect your heart and arteries, and it tastes like hot chocolate. Billionaires are flying to Switzerland and paying $80,000 a shot to reverse their biological age. It's called stem cell therapy. Harvard research has just discovered an affordable morning drink which floods your body with the exact same cells starting in minutes.
Cacao.
Cacao.
Oh, man. And it tastes like hot chocolate. Stem cells are your body's built-in repair crew. They help patch your arteries, clear out damage, and keep your cardiovascular system running. After 50, that crew gets cut in half. You feel it in the form of low energy, stubborn weight, getting out of breath, just feeling slowed down. Research shows that raw chocolate contains something that can double your stem cell count. Cacao Bliss from Earth Echo uses the purest form of that exact chocolate. It's called ceremonial grade cacao.
You're killing it, dude. Keep it up.
Thanks,
this
man.
Is perfect.
And it packs 7 organic superfoods into one morning drink. Best of all, it's just 35 calories and no added sugar. Learn more and get your special discount and free shipping today at trycacaobliss.com/badlands. And guys, everybody watching, now you have to do it. Okay? Because I'm going to be in trouble for that.
Yeah.
So
how about BB by doing that?
I need you guys to go to trycacaobliss.com/badlands and get some cacao. It is genuinely good shit. I've been drinking it for a month now. I like it. I was giggling because I made myself giggle, and also the swerve, like we started just with the usual cacao stuff, and then we went to billionaire stem cells Switzerland, and I was shocked. I was shocked while reading it. I didn't know where we were going, and I just had to orient myself a little bit, because here I thought I was just drinking some cacao, but I was actually like hooking up a blood bag of Switzerland stem cells and whatever. That's why I feel so good, I guess. That's what the billionaires are doing. How do you guys feel about cacao and everything that just happened?
I don't have any cacao, but I'm over 50, and I was kind of thinking, maybe I should get some cacao because it sounded pretty convincing. Even with your read, it was convincing, and I would like to try some.
I mean, your only other alternative to feel the way I feel right now, Jay, is to have $80,000 and go to Switzerland.
Yeah.
So I would assume you have to know people. You can't just show up like with a bag of cash. They'll be like, I know what that guy wants. Obviously, he wants the Swiss cacao.
Absolutely. Right. With that 80 grand in your so do they do euros right there in Switzerland, right?
I think they use everybody's money. I think that's
it's kind of, you can bring any kind of denomination whatsoever.
Scott Bessent has to sign off on it, but besides that,
but you also
BB,
Scott Bessent, so good.
Real quick, BB, somebody people in the chat were saying your volume's a little low.
I've been saying that for weeks. I don't understand it. None of it makes sense. Because I sound normal to you guys, right?
Yeah, it sounds fine to me, but Jackie told me, and then I saw a few people in the chat. I think Be Happy was fine.
All right, chat. Does this sound better?
Oh, that's better.
That actually does sound better, though.
That's definitely better.
Does it sound way too loud?
No.
It's like smoother.
Sounds normal.
Smooth.
Yeah, you sound like a late night radio host.
All right, let's get into some bullshit. I mean, we can talk about random bullshit, but I figure we can talk about something actual that's going on right now, and that is the latest on the definitely real and not fake regime change operation in Venezuela that everybody forgot about. And we have an update on that from Donald Trump himself tonight. Breaking news: the United States of America has just entered into an agreement with the country of Venezuela on the biggest oil deal in world history. At my direction, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, working closely with highly respected interim president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, and through a partnership with private business, have secured majority U.S. control of more than 65 billion barrels of proven oil reserves in Venezuela at no cost to the American taxpayer. This historic transaction more than doubles American oil reserves, greatly increases our oil supply, and will substantially lower gas prices for all Americans long into the future, while helping to continue to set Venezuela on a course toward tremendous success and great prosperity. This transaction will greatly strengthen the already growing relationship between Venezuela and the United States. Thank you for your attention to this groundbreaking matter. Oh, look what he did there. You guys get it? Groundbreaking matter. What do you guys think?
Did we just steal 65 billion barrels of oil from Venezuela? Or
no?
How do we get those without taxpayer money? That's what I'm
Grand Theft Auto Trump.
No, it's not stealing. There's a difference. So stealing, think about it. When you steal something, the cops come after you, right?
They don't come after us, Cam. But
yeah. Well, okay, sorry.
Yeah, we don't. What are you talking about,
guys? I understand this, but no. When you steal something, there's consequences for it. If you take it and there's no consequences, that's not stealing, bro. It's yours.
Why did it take me so long to get what that was about? Right there?
He's used to it, man. He knows immediately what I'm doing. He's numb to it now.
I should have caught that one out of the gate. That was so good.
Alpha, bro.
It was good, man.
We say, "Excuse me, officer." He went that way. And,
it's like racist jokes just roll off Gordon Bright's lips. Like they're just
and we do that stupid, like, just Boston Irish thing where we just smile at you until you react. Like, that's like, I swear the black guys in Boston just like. It used to make them really upset, and now they're just like, "God damn it! Will you stop?"
You wore them down, man. It was so funny that they're just like, "I can't be mad at you anymore." It was so genuine,
right? Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this bicamerally. We could talk about this through the lens of we're stealing the oil, and in that case, it's like, okay, fine.
Well, but I just didn't quite understand. You guys have better insight onto how we're getting this 65 billion. Is it like staying in Venezuela, but like it's part of our reserve, or is it like barrels being shipped over here, like on American oil tankers, or what? Like what's the actual of it? Do you think?
Well, I don't think this is like detailed out there yet. I think he's just announcing, but I can project my view on this is, first of all, I think the interim president nod is hilarious because, and I know technically interim president is a term, but I just think of Trumpomania and, the pro wrestling of it all. And, we call them interim champions in the fight world. And, Ghost was on top of this from the beginning. And a lot of us were calling this a fake regime change. And that one of the major signals of the fake regime change would be that if Delcy Rodriguez was still leading the country, which is what we have, right? But on the oil front, I think what he's saying and why this isn't stealing is this is a projection of how many barrels of oil are supposed to come out of there and be accessible there. The reading I've done on it months ago suggests that basically American oil refiners are most primed, most capable of accessing the Venezuelan crude, because even though Venezuelan crude, I think, is the most plentiful in the world, or we're told it's like the most abundant in the world, it is also among the most difficult to refine and difficult to get into because of just the landscape or, whatever quality of crude it is. And that the American refiners are, the ones who are the best at doing this. I would guess the reason he's saying there's no cost to American taxpayers is this is essentially going to be an American, like a contract gig where that shit's going to get carved up, and ExxonMobil, you get this piece, BP, you get this piece, and these are going to be government subsidized contracts for private contractors. So it's going to be entirely private industry that's going to be footing the bill for this. And, in exchange for them paying for this entire operation with private money, they get access to Venezuela. The irony of this is that I've been saying since January, remember when Trump had all these oil execs in the White House for that lunch that felt like a bit of a humiliation ritual, and they were telling them, and I believe it was ExxonMobil, the CEO there was complaining about how many billions they were losing by getting denied access to Venezuela, and Trump just didn't care. He was basically like raking the guys over the coals and making fun of them. To me, this is like a shut up, we're giving you access back to Venezuela, but you're not getting anything out of the American people. You're not getting any government subsidies out of this. So he sort of cut off one part of their gravy train, but he's turning on a different one, and I think setting the terms, you know, for us rather than for the private industry.
Okay.
But that's just a theory. I don't know. What do you think?
There's a guy. His first name's Tom. I'll try to get him on
from MySpace
in the next week or two to do. Yeah, from the virtual town halls. And he's an OG though, man. He's like an old school, like generational, like Texas, like oil guy. Like that's his thing. And he was breaking it down, touched on some of the things that you were talking about, BB. Now it's all through the lens of like the normie surface, like the way it works in the business. But he did just it was just to try to, you know, restate what he said. I would just jack it all up. But the ultimate summary that I got from it was that it's definitely going to be something that benefits America, obviously, but it's also going to benefit the people of Venezuela. But it's also supposed to open up the pathway for, like what you're saying, a lot of these private corporations. But it's supposed to show, like, hey, look at how much money everybody can make going through this process, to want to make it a process that's adopted in other places as well, because everybody's like, it's going to be one of those situations where literally everybody wins.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to be coming out of it. But like I said, he articulated it for like an hour, and it was genius. Like it was easy to track. There's no way I can repeat it.
Well, to your point, Alpha, I think this is one of those a lot of things that Trump is doing in 2026. This is maybe the first one that's almost like completing its arc, right? Like the Venezuela story arc started in January, and this seems like the end state of what the mission was for. Now, it hasn't ended yet, but like this looks like the ending of that story arc. This was the mission, and now the funny thing about this kind of stuff is that we choose to analyze this through the lens of 5th generation warfare. You know, I think a lot of this stuff was planned in advance. I think he probably needed some coordination with Venezuela. Not that the United States is not capable of going in there and taking this stuff, but to think that we did it like this easily, I think is a little silly, because I think some previous administrations would have maybe tried to do this a little bit more easily. And the reason they didn't is because they were in bed with the oil cartel that already had control down there, including of the government down there. But to your point, Alpha, the normies, even the expert normies, they're just going to have to analyze it based on the terms of the deal they're being told. And to your point, it is going to start to be an indefensible win on economic levels. You know, right now you're seeing the memes of like Dune memes of Trump and everything. And it's like, that's fine, but it doesn't. We've entered a new paradigm, even to the Normieville, where Trump, he doesn't care anymore in terms of how he's being perceived. He's like, yep, we took it. And within a year, you're going to shut the fuck up, because your gas prices are going to be down. And to your point, Alpha, I think even the people that are like really squeaky wheels about it and like, oh, this is so wrong for the people of Venezuela, the real coup de grace on the narrative is going to be when the Venezuelan people are benefiting from this deal. And all of a sudden, a place that everyone knows, right, left, and in between, that Venezuela's like been the poster child of corruption and poverty and inflation. They're going to have a rising middle class, and everything's going to get cleaned up El Salvador style. Crime's going to go down. The cartels are going to be gone. Oil's going to be flowing. And it's just like, those same people are then going to have to say, man, it's so horrible what Donald Trump did to Venezuela.
Well, the other question is going to be at the time is, how did this country become so prosperous with a very little minute regime change? Like you're telling me you took out the leader and you still kept these people, but yet all these good things develop. Then people are going to start to, wonder what was really going on. What really changed these people and this economy to make it the nation that it was.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not like that long ago that Venezuela was the most prosperous country in South America. I mean, in my lifetime, I watched it go from the most prosperous country in South America to they're literally eating their, zoo animals and stuff, and their pets, and because they're so poverty stricken. So for a lot of people, a lot of older people, they're going to see it return to that prosperous country. And there's just going to be no denying the contrast is going to be so great. And to your point, BB, it's like with the same government, essentially, right?
Literally all the same people except for
one.
Maduro. And, I don't know how much on other shows you guys have been talking about this, but obviously months ago, but some of the stuff that I think is funny in the interim is that we obviously projected that this is fake and that's a matter of opinion. Like the only way to rationalize it not being a pre-planned and coordinated regime change op with Maduro, the only way all the OSINT guys have been able to like tangle themselves in knots about this is to say that it was a coup by Delcy Rodriguez on Maduro, and like she betrayed Maduro and is signing all these deals with Trump and he's controlling her, etc. It's possible. I just personally think that actually takes more leaps. But let's take that. Let's take that and say that that's the case. Well, do you see sneakily, what was it, 2 months ago? I think it was back in May. Delcy Rodriguez sued the United States Department of Justice for the right to defend Nicolas Maduro in court. And it was granted. So it's like, these are some of those, these goes to things Ghost has been talking about for a long time, about Maduro being a cooperating witness at the very least, going back a long time against the cartels down in Venezuela. But it's why I shit on the open source like Twitter guys so much, because they think that they're being taken more seriously by not calling it a fake regime change. But by calling it a real regime change, they have to then reconcile all these things that happen afterwards that do not fit that model at all. It's like, okay, guys, why is Delcy Rodriguez suing the Trump administration then? And why is he still saying that it's totally fine? And, like, she did an interview a month ago or a public address saying, like, this is still Maduro's country. So it's just, none of this matches up to what all the OSINT guys say. It's like, obviously, there was something else going on here. And I think it's about, as cliche as it is in this audience sometimes to be talking about the global cartel, it's the cartels, right? Like, who's getting kicked out of there? The literal cartels, the kinetic cartels, and the oil cartels. And now it almost looks like Trump is reopening business to the oil cartel, but the terms are, you pay for it all, and the proceeds go to the American people in the form of lower energy prices, and the Venezuelan people in terms of profits, because Trump is endorsing a sovereign wealth fund for Venezuela on the back of this. So it's basically going to be a US-sponsored Venezuela sovereign wealth fund, which is a pretty crazy model to set.
Yeah. What's fascinating to me is that I feel like with one move, removing Maduro, they kicked out the globalist regime from Venezuela. And I feel like, to go to Jay's point from earlier, I feel like the land that we've taken over and we're basically giving back or selling to the oil companies, whatever. I feel like it was disputed land. Disputed land because it was run by the regimes. They didn't own that land. So as soon as that land is freed up, somebody has to take control of it. We secure it. We own it. We secure it, and then we sell it out to other people, lease it out to other people to use. So I think that's how we got stake of that land. If that makes sense. Like, it was it was disputed land at the time.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting too to see like the response from the Venezuelan people, especially as this moves forward. Even some of them that have been psyoped, which is plenty of them. I always thought it was silly when people would be like, you know how I know Maduro was bad? The Venezuelan people think he's bad. And it's like, what? Hello? Like, have you been in the US before? Do you understand how these things work? Like, color revolutions work from the inside out. They start with the local population and turn them against the leadership. And, the humiliation ritual that Maria Corina Machado is still going through is hilarious. And that was controversial when I wrote that in January, and we were talking about it, saying like, she's the bad guy. She's been the bad guy the whole time. And then we had the State Department. What did they say? There was an Axios headline where they called her, they said she was like abhorrent or something a couple of months ago. I'll have to find it, but
yeah, but at the time when you wrote that, BB, it was like everybody was like, oh, for sure that, you know, we're going to install her as our puppet. And, you know, if you had a cynical look at her, or it was just she's the heir apparent, she's the women of the people, and like, you know, you definitely called that big time, and it was not definitely not a popular take, definitely not one that people thought was realistic. I mean,
yeah, and I think Chris, I'm not sure if he called her, but I think he did. But I mean, these are these templates Chris and Ghost in particular and me have been really tracking internationally, just because we look at that stuff, you know, just as much, if not more, than domestically. But she's one of, you know, my favorite indicators, as I always call them, are reverse indicators. So I always like to look at what is the regime doing in a given place and what is the regime saying. And so this was the headline. When is this from? This is from July 1st. Trump admin blasts Machado's, quote, grotesque political opportunism after Venezuela quakes. So this is the woman that we were being waterboarded over saying was the bad guy, when people were saying that obviously Trump was going to install her and she's the populist and she's the hero of the people, while ignoring all the reverse indicators like her being funded by all the American NGOs that Trump was targeting, her winning the Nobel Peace Prize that she then tried to submit to Trump after that whole thing. Remember her escape?
That one was
funny.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but that's actually a good one where we get shit on for it, where it's like she has a picture at the White House with Donald Trump with a Nobel Peace Prize where she offers it to him, right? And then you see this a lot, Alpha, because you're in the Q sphere, you know, your commentary is in the Q sphere. A lot of those people look at a picture of somebody with Donald Trump, and when that picture lands, here we go, Secret White Hat, Maria Corina Machado, whereas Ghost was pointing out, she wasn't even scheduled for a visit. She had to enter through a civilian entrance, and like what that photo op was her and her handlers attempting to associate themselves with Donald Trump. And it's like, it's so crazy that, like, you guys don't think that, for the people that think having a photo with Donald Trump means you're a secret white hat, you don't think that, like, the bad guys know that you think that and are going to use that to their advantage. But that was another thing. Like, we're looking at that the week it happened and going, wow, the humiliation of Machado continues, while a whole other segment of the truth community is like, oh, this was coordinated from the start, and Machado and Trump have been working together on this whole thing.
It even happens at the very low level. How many influencers out there think by presenting a picture at Mar-a-Lago that's instant cred to being in an op, when the reality is if you're actually at a legit meeting, a legit op, that shit ain't ever gonna make a photo op.
Right.
Like, that'll never happen. You know, presenting a photo that's the fastest way of showing that you weren't part of anything that was significant.
Yeah, Trump often says that too. He'll say, like, he'll deny even knowing somebody, and they'll say, well, you have a picture with me. So, you know how many pictures I take with people?
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's a kind of a high level person that's done something like really, you know, underhanded in his administration. Like, I don't even know who that is.
Well, he's been playing that game with Maloney in Italy recently. He's like, she's obsessed with me.
She's just stringing her along. He's that guy in high school that, like, that real cool kid in high school that, like, this girl's pretty attractive, you know. She's really into him, and he just keeps tugging her along, you know, never really like making a move, but just giving her hope, and then just being like, yeah, this girl's obsessed with me. That's
ghost reading, and this is where, like, hey, we don't know, right? We don't know any of these people. Just like Maduro, I've obviously got my leanings, but like we don't know what these people's intentions are. Maloney is one that Ghost is definitely on the, this is kayfabe, she's a nationalist, and this is good for her that Trump is doing this, which I can totally, like, I can see what he's saying, because we talk about narrative shielding, and she's being presented as this anti-Trump nationalist in Italy right now. But the opposite framing could also very easily apply to somebody like Maloney, as, you know, some of these nations, it seems to me, obviously have pivoted with how long the Trump era is going on, like how long he has seized control of the global mind
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these world governments are recognizing the orange man bad template just isn't really playing very well as their countries fall apart. So some of them are not really joining Trump, but they're putting up, like, do we have somebody who can kind of do Trump stuff and say Trump stuff? And then when they get in there, not do anything like that. And, you know, you could easily argue that Meloni has been doing that. Like, she's talking the Trump talk, and yet the Trump walk is maybe not happening. I don't know. I don't do a lot of reading on Italy, but
go ask one of us. Does anybody have a MAGA hat in the building? Like, someone come over here, put a MAGA hat, because we got to do a sound bite. You know, the other thing too is, you know, and I get it, you know, some stuff could be kayfabe. The other thing too, some stuff could be people thinking that they're just going to wait out Trump and wait this administration out, and they're going to give some. And the other part of it is, for some people, it could be self-preservation. Maybe they were bad. Trump presented them with an offer, said, hey, this is the way this is going to play out, or here are your options. You know, so I don't think it's necessarily who's good and who's bad. You know, maybe we'll figure out some. I don't think we'll probably figure out most ever. I think what's the end result that comes from whatever conversation or relationship they have in the present.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's tough. It's tough sometimes because if you think, for example, whether we're talking about a leader, a politician, or an influencer in our sphere, if we think we know that person's intentions based on whether it's public or private information, and then we see them saying stuff publicly that is otherwise good, it puts you in a weird position, right? Because you're like, if you truly believe the person is subversive, but you're like, well, this thing they're saying is inarguable and I think is good, but I don't really want to promote them.
I'll give you a great example of one that I struggle with. and we've even had some conversations privately. Mike Pence.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone into the actual legwork of looking into his past and his self-admissions I mean, there's a lot that's supported by people firsthand knowledge of what they experienced, but his self-admissions were part of, you know, Fame Game running an op on MAGA during a specific window, right? But if you look at just that, which is something that I weigh heavy, it's like, how the hell can you trust this dude when he's ran these psyops? But then you go look at the work that he's doing right now and the information that he's bringing to the surface. It's critically important that people see the stuff that he's talking about, because it's super important. So it's just one of those things that Mike Benz, you baffle me, bro. You know, but it goes down to the same argument that I made. Was he always a bad guy, or was he a bad guy playing, you know, a good guy playing a role? At the end of the day, this is kind of what I tell my audience, is because we don't know anything leading up into this phase of what the operation that we're in, then look at what people's works are now. Like, judge the work now. Because if we believe that we're approaching like the end, or at least the final phases of all that stuff, then I would think this is where we're going to see people start to do what they were really intended to do. And for some of that stuff is going to be hard, because there's some people that we love to hate, and there's some people it's just going to be hard.
Yeah. Well, there's some easy examples right now. And when I say right now, I mean like the whole year, maybe going back to 2025, this second term, some really easy examples that pop to mind or come to mind. There's like Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, like that kind of brigade, Tucker Carlson on the media side. You know, like if you swapped out Donald Trump with like build a president in a video game, but he was otherwise saying all the stuff that Trump has said, word for word, the entire second term. And if you swapped out all of those characters I just named with like Congressman X, Y, and Z, and then media personality, you know, W, and you just look at what they're saying, it's what's kind of funny, because there's a lot of MAGA people and truthers, including us sometimes, who are like shitting all over Thomas Massey or shitting all over MTG or Tucker Carlson or whatever it is, because they're opposing Trump. And yet it's because we're coming at it through the lens of fifth generation warfare and saying like, we think that Trump is running psyops and is engaged in fifth gen warfare. But the irony is that if you were actually just analyzing it on a surface level face value, a lot of their stances against Trump are inarguable, you know, where it's like months ago, or at least from some people's perspectives, like if you believe at the very beginning of the Iran op that we were actually just like boots on the ground, we're going to do whatever it takes, we're going to glass the desert like Bush 2.0, and then you've got, you know, Tucker Carlson and these people being like, we don't want this, and I can pull up 10 clips of Donald Trump saying, we're never going to do this, only Joe Biden would do this, this is bad. That's why it's discombobulating, and I think that's why it's the perfect word he's chosen to use this year, because it's like Trump is in some ways, and Ghost talks about this a lot, Chris talks about it a lot, like Trump seems to be playing the villain in many respects narratively, even to some of his own base. I even mentioned as an anecdote on Wednesday night, I have a good friend of mine, like I grew up with him, we used to train together, lifelong Christian. He was always a Republican, but he woke up to the fact that he was retarded about the Bush era, just like I was retarded about the Obama era. But he was a big Trump guy, and he bought into Trump like 2015 right away against the Republican establishment. He actually was on the Q drops right away. He ultimately thought they were bullshit, but like he was digging into all that stuff. He's been with Trump like through the first term, through the Biden term, and was pumped about this term. And the other night I sent some message over some video about the Sovereign Alliance concept, and he was just like, yeah, man, I'm glad you're optimistic, but like I just can't get on board with anything Trump has done in 2026. And I've never, 10 years of Trump, I've never heard this guy. He would be the guy that'd be like, you're a pussy if you start questioning Trump. And the other day he was just like, nah, like we lost. It's all the same racket. Man. So
they got
yeah, and I don't think that that's true. I'm just saying
he'll come back.
Sometimes we are in such a bubble that we're like, no. Real MAGA people understand what Trump is doing, and it's like that is not the case.
I just had dinner with a buddy of mine who's big time conservative, but very normie, and but he listens to what I say and everything, and he's just so into Trump and everything. We're going to dinner and he just starts railing. Well, he's talking about that. Was it Greg Bovino, that guy that was on with Tucker, and he's bad mouthing, the operation that's going on down at the border and this and that. And my friend's just going off, and he's like so disappointed in Trump because he's expected mass deportations and they haven't happened, and this and that. And I'm sitting there arguing with him, and I'm like, this is kind of catching me off guard. I've never heard him say anything bad about Trump, and now he's just like saying he's a complete failure because his biggest issue is illegal immigration, and he hasn't deported every single one of them yet. And he's like, I want to see just barges full of people being shipped back. And I said, well, maybe you will see that. Give the guy a chance. Only a year and a half into his term here. Could you at least wait till the end of his term before you call him a failure and negging on his promises? And he was just so despondent. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of what's going on right now. But I think it's intentional. I do think that this, controlled opposition, or whatever you want to call it, I think Trump knows exactly who everybody is, and everybody's playing a role, whether they know it or not. I still think he's controlling the chessboard. And I'm not down at all about any of it, because I think I have a different view, but I'm seeing the normie conservatives getting really down about a lot of stuff now.
Yeah,
You're going to say something, Alpha? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Alpha, you go ahead.
No, I lost my thought. It'll come back.
Oh, I got you. So I was going to say that I feel like mainstream MAGA has shit. Now I lost my train of thought.
I have a story very similar to J-Trits, with my cousin, smart guy, super religious, and he was kind of like, we're it's the family football league, fantasy football league is what kind of generated the conversation. And so he goes, so you're still behind Trump? I said, yeah, why not? And he goes, well, what do you think about this? So he started going off into things, and I just let him talk, because I wanted to kind of get where he was coming from, where his position was. And so then I just introduced some thoughts from him, and he's just like, I considered that, but I just don't know. And I think when you guys come across people like that, ask them, who they listen to, what do they watch, or what do they read? Mm-hmm. And that has a lot to do with their perspective on how they see things. It's hard to go and diversify where your sources are when you go to listen to something, because we want to just, humans want to just listen to something that makes us feel better, that resonates with us. But you got to kind of hear something outside the box, because that's where you're going to find out if you're wrong on something or if there's, more to it. And that's one of the things that I like about Badlands. We definitely have some different perspectives.
Yeah.
But here's one thing that I would say, to people in the chat, because I'm sure there's people in the chat that fall into that group where I'm disappointed with Trump, is compare some of the accomplishments, or compare all the accomplishments that he's had, the big ones and the little ones, from the day of his inauguration to now, and like actually write them out. And what you're going to find out is you're going to start getting tired writing that out, and you're going to find yourself beyond one page, and you're going to be like, okay, there's a lot here. I may not know what all these translate into or what's the long-term effects, but the man has actually done a lot of things. And then go compare that to a president that you absolutely like, or that there's a bipartisan agreement that was a good president, and compare their accomplishments in the entire 4 years or 8 years. And you'll walk away with being like, holy shit, Trump actually has done a lot. And I think that's important, especially, he's working with a government that doesn't want him to do what we want. That's a big deal too.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember my point, and it piggybacks with this perfect. I feel like mainstream MAGA, and it's mostly the media, but the people that get caught up on it, they are, and I'll use BB's term, I feel like they're moving the Overton's goalposts on Trump's accomplishments, like what they expect from Trump, what they want from Trump. Because he's getting fought on every angle. He's been getting fought since 2015, and he keeps accomplishing things. And they keep moving the goalposts. They keep saying, we need more, we need more. I mean, he just named a Lake of America. He named the Gulf of America. He just got oil.
Cam, it's Lake America. It's not Lake of America. He specifically said there's no of in his video.
My bad. My
Lake
bad.
America.
My bad,
Continue.
Yeah, he corrected me too. So yeah, I feel like mainstream MAGA, it's an op. It is an op, but that's the goal, is to demoralize, and that's something Alpha's talked about, is they're trying to demoralize the not mainstream, but the people that are just watching the surface. They're trying to demoralize them. And it goes to another thought I had, which is the surface level is the movie. So people say we're watching a movie. You're watching the surface level. That's the movie. Yes, it's a movie. It's fake. It's fake. It's a production. There's value to it, but it's still fake. The real stuff is happening behind the scenes. It's the creation of the film. It's the producers getting the film together. It's people fighting to get the finances to tell the story. So that's all real action. And that's what we're in at Badlands, the audience, everybody that's in this info war and the 5G war. You're in the production stage of the film that's being created. And we're fighting to see whose storyline gets told.
It's a good point, Cam, about go ahead, BB. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to make I'm kind of going to go into a rabbit trail, but that this prompts, and one of them, I mean, to your point, demoralization, that word you just used, Cam, that's absolutely what it was, and what it is. I think what we're all expressing with anecdotes is that the demoralization attempts against Trump have been there since 2015, right?
Yeah.
But they are working in a way I have not seen them work on MAGA. And I think that's what we're expressing, right? It's like, my buddy has seen all the demoralization ops against Trump, and he was like, gay, pussies, F you, bitch. Like, literally, I could show you guys pictures of him. Like, literally, he goes to every cookout. For 10 years, he has gone to every cookout we do, knowing, like, there's Canadians there, there's my family, there's his family. Who cares? He doesn't care. He wears a big Trump shirt, big white Trump shirt with Trump's face on it, and an American flag bandana. That's this guy. And he's a fighter. So it's just like, that guy is done. And when he's done, the good thing about it is he's not like, I'm really into Tucker Carlson and I'd really like to see Marco Rubio get a shot. Like, that's not the kind of done he is. He's just done in a way that he's like, F them, F the politicians, whatever. Maybe he tried, maybe he didn't, but it's just how the system works. But so the demoralization, that's the narrative demoralization. But the guy, when I bring up my buddy as an example, maybe it's the same for, Alpha's cousin, maybe the guy that you were mentioning, Jay, guys who were ride or die Trumpers. I don't think narrative demoralization works on Trumpers. But his second term, 2026 in particular, I really think that they've had some actual demoralization operations. And the examples of this would be one of the things I point out on Wednesday nights a lot, and you guys know I've written 100,000 words on the Iran war and how Trump's a master with what I think he's doing. But when Trump puts out Truth Social posts saying the stock market is all-time highs, stop being a pussy, and like my buddy works in the diesel industry and is just like, it is catastrophic right now. Like so when he's a Trump guy and he sees like Truth Social posts saying everything is good, and he's like, but it isn't. And when a lot of people go to the grocery store and they're like, that's the biggest thing. Honestly, and John was saying this on DPH 4 years ago. You could talk about immigrants and whatever. The honest truth is most people in their day-to-day lives don't give a shit. They don't, like, the illegals are not in their face. I know they're affecting the economy, but I mean, like, it's not really what most people deal with. What they deal with is, I just went to the grocery store and got like 3 dinners worth of meals this week, and it cost $270. And like my gas cost me $30 to fill the tank 18 months ago, and now it's 55. And that whole rant is not me saying Trump is tone deaf or Trump's an idiot. I think personally, this is why Trump is signal boosting his opposition or his threats to American oil companies, American manufacturers, American tech companies, because I think, to your point about Alpha earlier, I call that hibernation theory. They thought they could wait Trump out. The Americans thought they could wait Trump out. And I think what they've done in 2025 and 26 is the story of the Trump trade war and the story of the Iran war, I think has given them shielding to gouge Americans. Sure. And Trump is like telling us this, right? Everyone's like, oh, oil is expensive because of the Iran war. Then we get a story 2 days ago. It's like, what, the 6th story in the last 6 months that tankers have been going through the strait the entire time. Thousands of tankers. Thousands of tankers are going through the strait. There's a shadow fleet that's been going through the strait the entire time. We're even being told that Middle Eastern oil production is at 2/3 of its capacity from 6 months ago right now. And then Trump's on Truth Social threatening the American energy companies. And I think what he's saying there, and what's working its way into these Americans who are genuinely dooming on Trump, is he's saying nothing is wrong with the oil supply. Your oil companies are trying to destabilize my presidency by gouging you at the pump, and they have no reason to do so. Like, they are literally just elevating the prices based on nothing, based on future projections. And I think you can play that along all these different rails. Right when he announces a trade war, American products shouldn't be going up in price as a result of the trade war. That's manufacturers pay that, foreign manufacturers. But American manufacturers, American retail, decided that this gave them the perfect narrative to raise prices by 20%. So I think there's an actual demoralization op going on, and they're pulling out all the stops. Mark Carney in Canada is the latest, where like he's playing a game of chicken, and it looks to me like they know they're on a timeline, and everybody's taking their turn, taking a shot at Trump. They're like, dude, what can you do, Canada? And they're like, I mean, I guess we could destroy our entire economy, but like it'll hurt Trump for 2 months before the midterms. So it's like all the stops are being pulled out. And what I'm hoping is that there is real consequences for all this shit. And like people talk about tribunals for foreign enemies and stuff. I want to see some tribunals where American oil execs get pulled up in front of all their Republican supporters and say like, hey, so what did you do back in March when Trump started this Iran conflict? And why did you do it? And who was paying you to do it? But that's my conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. I think it's also an exposure up on Trump's part, because I think this has been going on forever. Every time there's any conflict in the Middle East, our gas prices go up, and they don't ever go back down to the level they were before whatever said conflict happened. So I think Trump is pointing it out. I think he knew exactly what they were going to do. And of course, they've done everything they can to get him out of office, to get him out of power. They've tried to kill him. They've tried to use lawfare, everything else. And now they're basically shooting themselves in the foot, just like you said, BB, to like Canada. You're going to destroy your own economy just to score a couple of points against Trump. That's how desperate they become. So I think it's a matter of Americans accepting that we've been getting screwed by these companies every chance they get. I mean, in California, we know, I mean, Alpha, you and I know, I mean, it's like, they're always, the politicians here are always crying about like what Trump did to start this war has raised our gas prices over $6 a gallon. But $1.50 of it is just taxes that they could easily put a temporary hold on to help the people out that they supposedly care about. But they don't ever. They've never done that.
We have oil rigs off the coast of Cali
that they shut down
that are in op right now.
Yeah. And the refineries are being chased out of here. We
and I know people say, well, yeah, even if they gave the go, and I think some of them actually are doing the go ahead against Newsom.
Trump signed an executive order to try to force them, Alpha. I don't know if that's taken effect, but
and I get it. People say, some of the guys that I've talked to, that yeah, but you're still looking at 2, 3 to 4 years to see the actual like results of that. And it's like, I get that, but we also know the economy works off of what is the understanding of what's coming.
It's the futures.
Right. And so so just the fact that that's getting exposed, and then that he's going and doing an executive order, and you have these companies saying, yeah, we're going to do it, that has an effect, here. And listen, I absolutely believe that what you guys are talking about is in play, and there's different targeted audiences. When Trump does something, it's not meant for every audience. There's some stuff that he's doing for like our community and for us. There's some stuff that he's doing for the enemies. There's some stuff that he's doing for the quote unquote normies, and we're all going to kind of interpret it a different way because we're all looking at it through a different lens. But the other thing I remind myself about and my audience is, if we believe, and I think most of us do believe this, that Trump is taking on the most powerful enemy that has ever walked this planet, who has spent decades upon decades, if not longer, right, to perfect this plan that they have. And I mean, let's be honest, they came up with a near perfect damn plan.
Yep.
If we thought that Trump was going to be able to take them out, destroy them, bring back our sovereignty, free humanity, balance the world to, at least the beginning phases of what we all want, and there wasn't going to be some inconvenience to that, then we all had false expectations. Look at what they're accomplishing. And yeah, it sucks. Trust me, a 36-gallon tank in diesel 707 right now,
yeah,
that shit hurts. You know what I mean? It's like, do I really need to go over there? Like it hurts. But at the same time, what are some of the alternatives? Just burning some of this shit down right away that leads to chaos, to riots, to actual kinetic wars, to all the things they want. I think that we're always going to want more just because of the nature of who we are. But if we kind of just step back and look at what's been accomplished and the little loss of life and the little loss of property in the big scheme of things, I get it. All lives matter. But in the big scheme of things, this president, this administration, the good ones, not the ones working against them, but the good ones, they've come up with they have done a really good job to get us where we're at with the, how much, what costs, I guess is the best way to say the cost that we've paid so far.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to that point, Alpha, and that's exactly why when I'm talking about like tribunals, I'm just using as shorthand, consequences and very public consequences. I mean, that's basically, you're talking about the cost on the American people. What I want to see and what I hope to see is Trump not just saying like, hey, let's say we get to this golden age idea, right? Lower energy price, just generally lower energy prices, better infrastructure, lower crime, just better everything. And I do think that that's coming. I think that it would be a shame if it's just framed as, oh, well, you know, this was a difficult transition, but hey, we got to the golden age, right? You all trusted me, we got to the golden age. I think it's important that Trump points out, like, for example, let's look at that. I think he issued a low-key threat in that Venezuela statement. He said, oil prices should be coming down on the back of that announcement because of exactly what you just said, Alpha.
Futures thing.
Yep. Futures markets, right? And I said this on DPH back in March. I said that the Iran war was exposing the falsity of American markets and how they only price in bad news on futures, but not good news. So that the American oil refiners have actually not faced the consequences of the Iran war because there aren't any consequences, because it's fake and because it's been fake the whole time. But, you know, everybody can keep thinking it was real the entire time, even though it turns on and off like a light switch, this whole war we've got going on. The futures markets priced in the pain for Americans in March, and they've kept it the whole time. So now, to Alpha's point, Trump is giving those futures markets like, hey guys, I know the future bad news about the Iran war has been really tough for you because you've had to price in all this future pain and pass it on to your consumers, the American people. But now I've just showed you that we signed a 100-year deal with the biggest energy deal in the history of the world that puts the oil that the Americans were getting out of Iran, which is almost none, by the way, because we're a net exporter, not a net importer, which most people don't know. We're now going to be importing Venezuelan crude at half the price of all this stuff. So our energy prices based on future markets should be lower than they were before the start of the fake Iran war. And I think when he says that in that tweet, because keep in mind, he's now threatened the American oil cartel twice in the last few months and said, bring down prices now, you're gouging the American people. And he's tried to announce a bunch of peace deals that the media then just says aren't real. So then we have to pretend the war is still going on. And he keeps announcing that it's not actually going on anymore. He announces this every 2 days, but nobody believes him. So now he's announced in concert with a friendly government in Venezuela that this is a real deal. It is signed. The companies are chosen. The contracts are dotted. They're in ink. It's a real deal based on futures. And I think he's warning them, you better price this into your models, right? The models should start pricing in this deal right when it hits the trading desks on Monday morning. And let's see if U.S. energy prices come down next week. Because I have a sneaking suspicion they're either not going to, or they're just going to edge down like, 5% or something like that.
Something nobody will notice, yeah.
Well, in my hopium point here of fifth gen warfare is I think, we would all probably agree that Trump's deals, Trump's negotiations, he gives you a chance, right? Like, he gives you a chance because to Alpha's earlier point, like, there's people that were bad that you got to give them a chance to take a deal too. This is a big machine. Like, deals don't work if the enemy doesn't think they're ever going to get one. They're going to go down fighting if they don't think that they have any other option, right? The last thing you want to do, as Alpha would know in war, is you never box an enemy in who knows you're going to kill them. Because that, like, all they're going to do is maximum damage, death blossom, right? So I think Trump gives them, like, hey, I've given you enough hints, American oil companies, that I know you are responsible for Venezuela. And you are responsible for this pain at the pump on the back of Iran. But I've just given you the perfect narrative to back off the ledge.
Do the right thing. Yep.
Do the right thing. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, like, because if you do want tribunals or you do want any kind of, consequence, justice for this type of thing, that's quite a cascade to lay out if you're the DOJ and you say, like, they were pricing in futures markets. They didn't price in futures markets based on Venezuela. At the very least, that is fraud. At the most, you're talking about felonies and treason with psychological warfare and economic warfare operations on the American people. And last point on this would be, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Donald Trump is not the one giving addresses to the nation about the wars we're fighting right now. The Treasury Secretary is. Right? That has never happened. That has never happened before. Yeah. Donald Trump is tweeting about the wars that are going on right now. But Scott Bessent is at the podium with generals answering the questions. And I think, keep in mind, he wasn't really talking about the Iranian regime. He was talking about everybody who's done deals with them. So I'm wondering, I'm hopeful about this stuff. I've got my Scott Bessent hopium, but I'd like to see the tribunals. I don't think it's going to be Iranians at the tribunals. I think it's going to be American oil execs.
Yeah, to your point, BB, I mean, it goes back to Art of the Deal, right? I mean, if you want to understand Donald Trump, just read Art of the Deal. It's really simple. I remember, I'm going to get back to football, the late, great Al Davis, former owner of the Raiders before he passed, he would make trades with teams where it benefited both teams, and people would question him. How come you're not trying to take advantage? Because he was, for his time, he was brilliant. He was head and shoulders above the rest. So he says, well, that's not a deal. He said, a deal is where both teams benefit. Yeah, but that's your competition. Yeah, but then they'll never deal with me again if I rip them off, and they know it. He said, I want to have a relationship with everybody in this league, even though they're my competition. And I think Donald Trump takes that same approach. And like you said, you could be the biggest enemy on the planet, but like, if he gives you a branch where it's like, well, you could benefit from this too, and we all win, that's the best deal in the world. It's like a deal you can't refuse if you have any sanity to you. Now, some of the TDS is so strong. We'll see if these companies that are trying, the oil companies especially, they're trying to wait out the midterms, right? Because they want to hurt Donald Trump as much as possible to make sure he doesn't have, Congress next session. But we'll see how much that matters to them. Or do they take the branch? Do they take the good deal that he's offering them? And we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, we had a couple rants come in on this topic. I'll just hit them now. Luke the dog, 738 for diesel and boron. That's nuts. I don't know where boron is. But yeah, that's the thing. It's real.
Out of boron.
And
that's
and
on
again,
the
if you're
periodic table of elements.
It's number six.
Yeah,
4, 7.
Like if
you're looking for damages though on the American people, like those are real. The type of damages that are actually demoralizing the people that we know in real life, those are real damages. Like that's not, the news said something mean about the Trump administration. It's like, no, the American energy cartel catastrophically squeezed American industries in order to affect elections. Trump likes, to your point about the elections, Jay, we have all our disagreements about the elections around Badlands, but we would all agree that interfering in them is tantamount to treason against the United States, right?
100%.
And in the COVID era, it's clear to all of us that that was one of the reasons for the COVID op. That's one of the reasons people look at Fauci and all that. It's not just the pandemic. It's what it was used for. So again, you take these gas prices, it can sound silly to people, but if the intent behind the squeezing of the American consumer is to fix elections or to influence foreign influence in elections, then that's an all enemies, foreign and domestics type of thing.
So does it seem to you that Donald Trump with that tweet is basically laying the bait?
Well,
I think saying you could do right by the American people, or you might be charged with treason,
I think he's giving them an off-ramp. He's giving them a narrative off-ramp, right? Because they used the on-ramp of the Iran war, which granted, in their defense, it was an easy on-ramp to take.
Sure.
They're like, hey, even all the oil smart guys that are on Twitter say that this is going to make energy more expensive. We can just start charging people.
Same on-ramp they've taken for decades, every time there's conflict there.
Very believable. Everybody automatically believes it. Well, I know that there's something happening with sand people. Therefore, the gas at this pump that yesterday was $3 is now $4. Makes sense to me. And, that's what we've all been programmed with. So now we know, there's these people down in the bad places that are giving us this oil. So now, tomorrow, that oil at the pump should be less monies. That's how it works. That's how economics work.
I think it's interesting. People don't think about this is in my opinion the first time that we've been able to see this exposure up when it comes to wars with President Trump, because he hasn't gotten us into any wars. He had to do a fake war to be able to expose this. Like that's the whole reason why he did it. And Scott Bessent is there because it's an economic war. It's not a kinetic war. It's
which, by the way, Scott Bessent has been saying this, and I know, like, now he's in the news. Sorry, I'm a little butthurt about Scott Bessent, no pun intended, because of all the gay stuff.
Good one.
But like, Scott Bessent was calling it Operation Economic Fury in March, and they would ask him about Epic Fury, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know anything about that, but I do know a lot about Economic Fury." And to me, that was like, Trump has just been doing a comedy routine for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I'm not literally saying nothing has happened over there. I'm just saying, like, to your point, Cam, I don't think we're waging a kinetic war. I think it is an economic war. It's a squeeze. And I think, though, the posture has changed in the last month. Like, Bessent taking the podium is like, all right, we've had our fun.
Yeah.
Now, everybody, we're serious now. Like, you need to stop funding this shit, and you need to lower your gas prices. And now that it's in the election window, because those things even matter legally. Like, even fake politics, they've been talking about October surprises and things like that, and how careful you have to be around in the window of an American election, right? So it's like we're right before that window. And that might be Trump saying, like, here is your off-ramp. Here is your final offer to get those prices down. Because if those prices are up in November, I don't know. I would hope that there will be consequences for that.
It has a lot to do with how do we interpret some of the strikes that have happened. You know, when you go back to the two, you know, in Iraq, you know, you have two oil gas facilities that are hit, right? Now, is that really the IRGC that's hitting something? Or is that Trump through proxy making a threat to these guys, being like, I can take your shit out too, and it don't even look like it got anything to do with me. And then guess what? Your competition just made money, because how much do you got to invest to replenish that plant and rebuild it? And so I think there's a lot of this proxy stuff that's going on, or even attacks, you know, that happen, that it's, you know, it's sold to us a certain way, right? Operation Midnight Ham, or whatever the case, it's sold to us a certain way. But is it possible that some of those targets were deep state targets to prevent something that was being planned that was going to actually try to kick something off? And I think that's why you have Trump. Well, this is what I was going to say earlier that I forgot. When we're talking about his messaging, right? Straits open, straits closed, straits open, straits closed. War's over, war's good. War, you can't bet on it, right? Because it's always going to change. Now, one of the things that I find that I'm like, I wonder is we know that just like the good guys are using predictive analytics, so are the bad guys. How do you run predictive analytics on the stated most powerful man in the world when his statements contradict each other in the same fucking day?
Yes.
Yeah.
How can you do predict?
It's intentional.
Brilliant
Yes.
point
Intentional.
You couldn't.
Unpredictability.
Yeah. There's no algorithm that's going to be like, whoa, he said this, but he said this. You're making them have to make a human decision.
Yep.
And Alpha, this is. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and the mainstream will interpret that as chaos, right? Is he doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm like, no, it's exactly the opposite of that. He's basically disarming their algorithms, by being unpredictable, completely unpredictable, contradicting himself left and right to a comical level. How do you not see through that? But the mainstream is so programmed that this guy is an idiot and doesn't know what he's doing. They buy it hook, line, and sinker.
So I was going to bring in another guy I've been writing about lately is Kevin Warsh, and this is related to Kevin Warsh too. So these are all the things that people find boring, but like again, now people are paying attention, that we're only paying attention to like bombs dropping allegedly because Scott Bessent's at the war podium, and people are like, oh, maybe this man important now. Well, Kevin Warsh, by the way, speaking of freaking markets out, they can't price anything in, to your point, Alpha, because he won't telegraph anything. The most controversial move that Kevin Warsh, for anybody not aware, Kevin Warsh is the new Fed chair that Trump appointed. and he will not telegraph any hikes or cuts. He's not giving futures notes. And the market is pissed at him for doing this because he's just framing it pragmatically and saying, like, we're just going to wait for the data to come in. Then we're going to announce our decision after the data comes in, which sounds super reasonable to like normal people who don't follow this stuff, right? But what the Fed has been doing for decades is holding a Fed minutes meeting where they tell the insiders, aka the banks and market makers and hedge funds, here's what we want you to do. And then they go do it. They don't say it in those words, but to your point about algorithms, etc., Alpha, that's our whole market is algorithmic trading. And they trade based on certain key phrases that Fed chairs have been using going back to Bernanke in the 80s. So they literally, it's hawkish, it's dovish, it's hawkish, it's dovish. They price all the futures in. They make the markets based on the futures. They get the Fed minutes before the market gets the Fed minutes, which is why it's hilarious to see them all freaking out about Trump selling access to his communications.
Yeah.
They can't sue him for it because they've been doing it the whole time. That's why they can't sue him for it, because that's what our markets are made off of. All the hedge funds get the Fed minutes and everything, and they can start those algos in nanoseconds before retail traders can hit any algos or position themselves. Whoever's in the room is getting the information on where the rates are heading. And of course, that's not even getting into the Federal Reserve probably telling their insiders, you know, not through the Fed minutes and not through these meetings. But I wrote an article, I've got this series, might be a good time for people to check it out, given that these things usually become relevant long after I wrote them and not when I write them. I wrote this last year, Reality Wars, and there's a new one I wrote recently, Revenge of the Real. But part 2 is the Fiat Fork. There's Kevin Warsh there. Part 3, Revenge of the Real, how the real war is being won beneath the headlines of a fake one. And this was a few weeks ago. The reason I named it Revenge of the Real is I was talking about exactly what Alpha just said, which is that I think Trump and the Treasury and the Federal Reserve now are forcing markets to stop guessing about the future and then building a reality based on the future. These are notes from today's Fed meeting with Kevin Warsh. And look at what he says when they get mad at him about not projecting anything. He says markets should form their own views from real data. The Fed should not be the primary source of the next trade.
Damn.
Right? So, and I said this verbatim 2 weeks ago. So they are literally, why they are so controversial is they are literally making American stock markets real when they have been fake. And look at the other term he uses here. Warsh warned of, quote, a hall of mirrors problem in which the Fed and markets feed off each other and miss turning points. So he says, oh, yeah, we create this problem for ourselves where we project things and then we build models on each other's projections. And then the models become the markets. And I think what he doesn't say there is, we know that you've been rigging the markets for 100 years.
It's so true. The markets is not my expertise.
Me neither. I just only followed it recently.
But there are people that I know that are absolutely brilliant when it comes to them. So these are the people that I go to and I'll start asking like, hey, this, and this, right? Because, you know, I'm like, just tell me where to send my money so I can send my money, right? And so as they break this stuff down, a common phrase I hear with these people is, well, the markets are showing this, and historically, this is the response. Like it should do this, but the historic response is this. So I'm like, wait, hold on. You studied this. Like, this is your expertise, and you're saying it should do this, but this is how we should invest in it because this is the historic response to it. Why? Like, if everything you've studied says this should be the outcome, but you're saying we're not going to do that because historically this is what happens, doesn't that make you like be like, well, because someone's bamboozling something?
Yeah. What's the variable? What's the
exactly? Just because it has a historical pattern to do that, what's creating that? If you're saying that the data, if 2 and 2 equals this, but we're getting 5 instead, so we're just going to bet on 5. Well, that doesn't make sense. And I think this too, the point that you're saying that he shared in the meeting, it's mirrors. That's the historic data. That's the mirrors. And man, imagine if it's real. Like, imagine if, then we probably would get it. We probably would be able to like self-invest and do these things because we would understand it. You wouldn't have to understand. Yeah, I don't know.
Alpha, to your exact point, I think the psyop of markets, because I've like the last 2 years, I've gotten really interested in it, not from a making money perspective, but from a like how have they been, what have they been doing this whole time, right? Like we all kind of get, okay, fiat money, G money's done a lot of work in like, kind of seeding that idea, right? The bankers, the Jews, et cetera, all of which stands. But I've literally been interested in like, what is the engineering behind the stock market and how has it been rigged? Besides us just saying it's rigged. And that's exactly why. But what I was going to say, one of the psyops, Alpha, is I don't think it's complicated. And I think they've made it this hall of mirrors. That's what Warsh is saying, where he's like, no. And by the way, Scott Bessent, 2025, what did he say when his first post-inauguration address, when he was officially sworn in as Treasury Secretary? He gave a speech in front of, I don't know if it was at Davos, but it was in front of like the bankers. And his first speech as Treasury Secretary. And he said, Wall Street had its time. Now it's Main Street's time. And I think this is in coordination with Warsh's messaging, where what they're saying is you created a hall of mirrors where you're playing an inside money game where you all know each other's trades in advance, and you all know where the pools of capital are, and you all know what the language is. You all know how to signal each other on your trades without breaking finance laws, finance disclosure laws. I think that's what they're saying. Just like we've talked about in this audience for a long time, there's ways to circumvent national security laws when it comes to communications. Oh, I was just joking. Oh, I said this and then I said that. Oh, I put this on an anonymous message board. I didn't break any law. I don't know what you're talking about. I think insider trading has gone the same way. Like I was just saying,
what do people do when they anticipate that a war or something kinetic might happen? Let's go and check the Pentagon and see what the pizza delivery orders are in the area. Now, there's nothing illegal about that, but it's exactly what you're saying. They know how to put out these signals, and they know the reaction that's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if Trump and them wanted to make mainstream media and everybody else think something's going to happen, they'll just start ordering a shitload of pizzas. And that right there is going to generate all the rhetoric of people talk. There's an uptick of 120% in pizza orders, and then boom, everything runs that way. Well, that's exactly what they're doing with these fake things in the market.
Alpha, I think you nailed it a little bit ago. One of the things I said in that Reality Wars series is I said, because I just talked about with the oil cartels. At some point, if we're correctly diagnosing the general problem, then you don't just want to fix the problem, in my view, but you want accountability for the people that have been exploiting it, right? That's like the hope. So with markets, one of the things I said in that Reality Wars series is, you said they can't bet on this, like they can't. But you know what, Alpha? They're going to bet on it. They're going to bet on it. And this is my theory. Bessent and Warsh are executing a pincer move on the markets. And you'll kind of pick up hints of this, even if you haven't studied this stuff, by looking at the headlines being written about each right now. Bessent made a move with US Treasury bonds last week that the markets interpreted as dovish, right? Money printing. He's signaling money printing is coming back. Liquidity is coming back. Warsh gets on the podium a week later, today, and signals nothing. But his rhetoric was hawkish. His rhetoric leans toward rate hikes rather than rate cuts. So we've got the Treasury Secretary signaling liquidity and printing. We've got the Fed signaling the opposite. So the markets don't know which way to go because those are opposite directions. And they're all talking about how the Fed and the Treasury are not on the same page. Warsh and Bessent are not on the same page, which, by the way, they have all the same mentors and they ran in the same circles. And we're told long before they got appointed that they're friends and like they're going to do what Trump wants them to do, I believe. I believe Warsh is an our boy. I think he is going to do what Trump wants him to do. but he's not going to signal it. So what I would like for the consequence alpha is I think Warsh and Besant are trying to position the hedge funds on one side of the trade, and then they're going to rug them. And, you know, you're not going to see a headline about that, but I bet the headline, the way this would be proven true is if you see sometime this year headlines of like a Black Monday type of thing, and you're told the sky is falling, which would also be election interference, by the way, but that you find out just within a few days, retail's fine. It was all the hedge funds blew themselves up because I think they're trying to get them all to follow Besant to one side, and then Warsh is going to rug them, right? So as soon as they see that it's overweight, that the markets are overweight, and the markets are saying they're going to print the money, Warsh is going to raise hike rates at a surprise meeting, and they're all going to get caught off the trade. Or it's going to be the opposite, and Warsh, right, which I think it's actually going to be the opposite. If I have to make a prediction, I think they're going to get caught thinking that they're going to hike rates because Warsh is going to keep saying and hinting that we need to hike rates, and he's going to do a flash cut, and that's going to just get them all off the trades, and retail is going to benefit from it. But
well, I definitely think that that's a very strong possibility, and I think you might see stuff like that happen simultaneously with. You remember when Trump talked about all these ships that we just confiscated with these like hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil, and then it just everybody just stopped talking about it. Like we did a jack move of these oil barrels, and then it's like, well, okay, so what happened to them? Like where are they? You know, is it asset forfeiture? Are we holding it for courts? Like where's this oil? And there's a lot of talk on, you know, our oil reserves, and they haven't been refilled. What happens if these you know, to the point he's given them this ultimatum? Look, we just made the biggest contract ever in the history of mankind with Venezuela. So these prices need to come down. Then all of a sudden they trickle down. They don't move. Something stupid happens. And then all of a sudden we get 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, and Trump's like, well, our oil reserves are filled because everybody talks about they're the lowest since like the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
He comes out and says, hey, we filled them. But like, well,
it's back.
Well, no, you didn't fill them because we're the companies. Oh no, I did it with the oil that we jacked. That's where it's at. Well, now
Man, I love that.
The price has to drop. It has to drop at that point. So he's going. It's either you guys do it, or I'm going to force you to do it and make you look like lying assholes in the process.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're being told that there's a secret shadow fleet, and maybe it's our shadow fleet. I like that one too. And I think this general framework is one of the ways Trump likes to operate, right? You mentioned art of the deal, Jay, and it's like that. I just think this is what's going on with Besant and Warsh. And again, I don't know I don't think they know which side it's going to be. I'm not pretending I know if they're going to hike or cut, but I think that that's the point. I think that they are signaling opposite things from each other. And the market's basically like, do we go with the Treasury or do we go with the Fed? Like, the Treasury is the Trump guy, and he's in power, but the Fed, you know, really sets the rate. The Fed has more control historically over the markets, which is bad. We all know that that's bad, but like that's how the markets trade, right? I think that the markets are getting a little too comfortable thinking that we're figuring Warsh out. We think he's going to be hawkish. He seems to not be in lockstep with Scott Besant. Like, I think that's what they're positioning, because Scott Besant can't do shit about rates in the Treasury. And rates are the single biggest indicator of futures trading that you can do. Single biggest macro indicator. So they're all pricing in a rate hike before the end of the year. That's like all the trading desks are pricing in at least a rate hike before the end of the year. What if they not only are wrong about a hike, but what if he cuts like 3 times? It's just, they're going to be so overweight off the trade. And for people, like, from what limited research I've done in this to try to understand it, people will be like, oh, well, right when they get that signal, they'll just get off those trades. That's not how futures trades work. Futures trades have expiries that they're locked into. And also, these hedge funds need to basically move in lockstep, because if one of them moves off the trade too early to cut losses, to mitigate this is what happened in 2008. The reason all the hedge funds blew up. one firm moved off its futures trade early and lost money, but they lost, 10% on a trade that sent all the other guys jumping off the buildings. And right when that happens, the cascade happens. So you can't just be like, oh, I guess we'll pivot now when you're dealing with billions and billions of dollars that you've positioned in these future trades. All these trading desks monitor what each other are doing, even in overnight trades. So if one of them gets spooked by Warsh, they're all going to be running for the exits. And I have an easier time picturing that scenario happening with a flash cut rather than like a hike. But I mean, we'll see. Or they'll do nothing the whole year and they'll just drive them crazy, right? They'll keep doing this.
Hey, the discombobulation is fun to watch. I mean, it's been the theme this whole year, right? With this administration in every aspect. Yep. So it stands that they would be doing it in the financial world as well.
Yeah, go
ahead, Cam. You haven't had a chance.
I was to say, if it was me, I would have a marker. I'd have a marker that says whatever they're doing, when it hits that marker, when it's a maximum damage for them, I flip it the other way. And Besson and Warsh don't know which one, and they shouldn't know. And it goes back to the algorithmic thing. The algorithm can't figure you out if you haven't made your decision yet, and your decision is based off of something that hasn't been put out to the public.
Well, to that point, Cam, what if the data that Warsh is talking about is not economic data? What if the data he's talking about is where the money on the table is moving?
Yes, that's brilliant.
He knows, you picture Warsh is just a player at the table, right?
Yeah.
But he's got eyes in the sky, and he knows what every player is holding, and he knows who's bluffing and who's not bluffing, right? So that's I like that framing too. And I agree that they probably have come to some probabilistic opinion of we're probably going to end up cutting. Long run meaning the next couple of years, I think we're going to enter a new cutting cycle. And part of the reason I think that is because the whole market does not think that. And I think it jives with the whole golden age rhetoric of like, print that fucking money and pump all this shit, pump everything. Because you got this whole build out happening at the same time to mitigate inflation, supposedly. We'll see if all that happens. But in the meantime, I think they are... Warsh, I think, is kind of telling that room, like, we're just going to wait. Like, you're all a bunch of crack fiends. And I know you're itching, right? The quarterlies are coming up. And you got to make bets. Like, nobody gets promoted on Wall Street without making bets, right? So he knows, like, they're jonesing to bet him, to trade him one way. And I think he's waiting for one of the biggies to trade a certain way.
The amount of cocaine that's flowing through those buildings right now, people freaking out, not knowing what's going to happen. Oh my God.
Yeah, and that is the story. I mean, look at the media. They're so freaked out that they're not getting their information ahead of time. They don't know what to make of things. And I think that's just been the strategy from day one in every aspect. And it's fun to watch. And I to all the doomers, I just think Trump's not doing anything. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's disappointment. I don't know how you see that way. Just the way he's toying with them is like a cat toying with a mouse. And they're losing their minds over, and that's how you know that he's frustrating them. I mean, BB, you know, as a fighter, right? That if you can get your opponent frustrated, that's when they make mistakes. They take wild stabs and set themselves open for the counterpunch, and that's what Trump is a counterpuncher. Yeah. And I think he's just getting them so frustrated that he's setting them up for the big blow, the big knockout
exactly punch. You wait for the big strike. That's when you move in, like that's when you commit. You wait till they commit and you commit. Like you see the commit coming. You're like, I saw the look. Engage thrusters. Look at this headline that I saved a few weeks ago. July 30th, Wall Street Journal, like the signal setter within the financial media. The problem with Warsh's deference to markets. Fed chairman's analogy of calling balls and strikes doesn't work. the central bank isn't the umpire. It's the most important player in the game. And I felt like saying, you guys aren't supposed to say that.
Right.
Like, you're not supposed to say that the central bank is playing the markets, guys. You're the ones who built your whole publication on trying to predict what the impartial Federal Reserve is going to do.
Right.
And now they're like, guys, come on, Warsh, you got to like give us a little something. Like, it's crazy. Like, imagine this would be like a baseball coach, to their analogy, coming out and being like, the ump wasn't even tipping us off to what the calls were going to be.
Right.
Ahead of time. He was calling them on the field in real time. It's like, it's crazy that they printed that just publicly, and they're like, Warsh, you are not doing it right. You're supposed to tell us what you're going to do in advance.
You're not the umpire, even though you very much are supposed to be the umpire, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
He's the groundhog on Groundhog's Day, where they're like, is he going to come out, or is he going to freak out and see a shadow? And he's just like, I'm just not showing up.
Oh my God, Alpha! He should put on a groundhog costume at his next meeting, but just play it straight the whole time.
They're all looking. Yeah. Will he stay out? Will he go back in? He's just like, I'm not even fucking working today. Like y'all just keep waiting, because I'm not even going to show up.
Which is gay behavior too. Like, honestly, it's just like, that's why I love Scott Besson being the one who's just like bodying markets. Just come out here and just be like, you're a bunch of faggots. Like, look at you. Look at you, grown men in suits, and you're in these high rises, and you're waiting for this meek man in a suit to like hint at something to you, so that you can move billions of dollars based on what you think his emotions are that day. You pussies. Like,
it's like Willem Dafoe in Boondock Saints.
Yep.
He's calling
exactly. He is clearly a gay dude who hates faggots.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh my God, that's such a classic. I'll grab a couple more rants here. The Final Demand, $100 from the Final Demand.
Thank you,
Final Demand. Thank you. Why can't they just say Trump declassed docs in his first term? Why lie about cash finding burn bags and docs at FBI HQ? Are they less credible if Trump had them the whole time? You don't beat a liar by lying. What do you guys think about that?
Go first, Alpha.
I wasn't gonna say this is an
Alpha's
alpha
got
question.
This is an alpha question.
Listen, when these conversations, my position is always, I remove morals and ethics. That those complicate the situation. The deep state, do you think that when the deep state left the FBI or the DOJ or the CIA, they said, all right, lock it up, boys, and give the keys to the next guy, and all
Hope they don't find it. Hope they don't find
Alpha, that's what the DOJ is telling me. That's
I hope, because that's the way every other company does it. Well, no, there's no damn way the most corrupt entity to ever survive is going to do that, right? But legally, that's the way it works, which creates the narrative psyop for them to come in and be like, oh, we found these burn bags and this information was in there.
I think we're all on the same page with that. I think every one of us is on the same page that this is a narrative delivery vehicle.
Yeah, is it moral or ethical? Look, it depends it depends how you're going to judge it, Yeah. Does doing it the quote unquote the right way cost lives? Because it ain't going to cost the bad guys' lives, at least not initially. It's going to cost good people their lives. And it's one of the things that I've said a lot. You can't beat an enemy in unrestricted warfare if you're playing by the rules. You can't. Maybe it happens that way in movies, but in real life you can't. It'll get weaponized against you until you can't make any moves no more, unless you're willing to do a move that you're not allowed to do.
Yeah. Now just apply that to the elections, Alpha, and we'll be more on the same page.
I think that's exactly happening in the elections.
Oh yeah,
which is why we don't need to vote in them necessarily.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, God, don't say that. No.
So I gotta take on.
Oh, I got on my hat.
While he's doing that,
shame me. You gotta vote. Oh, that's that. Your T levels drop. Your T levels drop right when you put that on. If you wear that into like a testosterone clinic, they'll immediately prescribe you.
Ain't no baby oil dripping off.
No, Diddy did the get out and vote thing. He had like vote hats and stuff back in the day.
No shit, Diddy did.
Yeah,
he was really trying to save his ass.
It's just like super gay.
And you know who was out there for? Obama, of course. Diddy's like, yo, he's been baby oiled up in my basement. Come on, vote for him. But no, real quick, my take on that is, guys, the burn bags are bags of information that they burned. That's how I read it every time. It's stuff they literally burned, they destroyed, and whether it was Space Force, digitally, whatever, they captured all of it. It's the stuff that was burned that are in.
We
bags.
have it all come to mind whenever I
see
hear that, and I just think
that,
it's and I mean, rather than give up your methods and sources, you just make up a story about burn bags. And I'm sure maybe there were burn bags that they did use and they did burn them. And I mean, when I see that, I think the enemy did burn them. I always think, like, why the hell would these people that are desperate to save their little world they've created, why would they not burn them? You really think that they were just, we were about to burn them, and then, Trump got elected, and so we didn't. I mean, I think it's a ridiculous story, but I think it's Trump's way of giving them a nod and saying, oh, we found them anyways, but I think it's because the NSA or whoever, whatever wizards and warlocks like captured this information, and it's Trump toying with them and saying this. Sorry, Alpha, go ahead.
Because you're saying something very important, Jay, and I want to clarify this because I don't think I've ever clarified this, and people, when I'm saying, that Trump, the administration, the DOJ, the military is lying, I'm talking about lying as far as news, headlines, the information being given to the public.
Right.
You can't lie in the legal aspect of how it was actually done. There has to be a true accounting for it. So, like, for instance, what's one of the things that we're learning through John Solomon has dropped it the other day with comma, right?
Oxford
comma, yeah. Right? How they were manipulating letters and all this to avoid FOIA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think that we didn't have guys embedded in these institutions that were able to do the same thing and had codes so that when the new guys came in, they knew exactly what search terms to put in to populate information? Because the thing is there still has to be a legal and honest, the way you got your evidence.
Yeah, you have to be able to follow a trail
that's
verifiable.
Anything that's brought into court can't be done through something that's shady or illegal.
Yeah.
Now, there is probably surveillance and things that are definitely gray area or maybe even straight out illegal, but that will never make its way to court. That's going to be something that strictly remains on the operational side of it. But everything that's going to be used to bring justice against these people for the gulags, because we do want that, all that has to be obtained 100% constitutionally.
I got one more thing to add real quick. Is it where's the threshold for illegal when somebody is either committing treason or is trying to overthrow your country?
That's the operative question, and I think, and I don't disagree with what you said, by the way, Alpha. I just these are the good questions, Cam, because to go even further with that, I think one of the macro questions that we've had, and this is not new to the Q community, even though some of them pretend it is. Like, we look at the DOJ because that's where a lot of these crimes were committed, and that's who we're told is investigating this stuff. And yet, from the Q drops to many of our operating theories in this community for a long time, there are obviously many hints dropped that, hey, whether or not we know this is going to happen, there is some pretty first principle suggestion that you don't take the enemy down using the apparatus that they committed treason with against you. Now, I used to be very firm on that. Like, I don't think we're going to get justice through the DOJ. I've now really come off that ledge because it just, I don't know, until proven otherwise, it seems like that's the direction they're going. So I could be wrong about that. It could map onto what you're saying, Alpha, where they're like, this is how I think of military-civilian alliance too. I don't just think of that in terms of like us, the people. I think this is how the handoff situation's been working for years. I've been talking about that on DPH for years, that, if the DOJ are the traitors, people in the DOJ, then it doesn't make any sense to do the investigation in the DOJ, to handle the most sensitive material, to build your case. I'm not saying you don't get anything there, but I've seen the handoffs with the Trump DOJ in the opposite direction of how a lot of people talk about them. right? Like a lot of people talk about pick your TV character X, Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, go on and on and on. Even going back to the first Trump administration. People think Todd Blanche is here. Now he's going to do X. I think Pam just left. I wonder what she's going to do because she just left. Because look at a lot of these figures from the first Trump administration. They went into civilian roles in private law. And these are private law firms that contract with Donald Trump and members of the Trump administration. So an example of this would be America First Legal. Like a lot of the guys on Trump team, you think they didn't have this shit at Trump 1.0? They didn't know about this treasonous conspiracy? Well, what were they doing at America First Legal for the last 4 years? The whole 4 years under Biden. I think that the cases, and to your point, Alpha, this actually kind of merges both points. I think the cases are being built and constructed legally, but civilian outfits are not bound by the same things as government outlets. And that's like one of my, and I'm no expert in law, but that's kind of one of my theories is that are these handoffs happening sometimes? Are the personnel changes in the Trump DOJ so frequent, not because it's a white hat, black hat game, but because they're like, hey man, you can't touch that stuff because we need that stuff to be able to be entered into evidence, or we need you to be able to comment on it because when you worked in the DOJ, you knew about this stuff. So we can't ask you about this other stuff and you can't have seen this other stuff. And then they go into, okay, I'll go into civilian world and continue the investigation. Right? Like, I think there's been, I'm not saying nothing's happening in the DOJ, but I think the DOJ is more like they bring the bags into the DOJ with all the evidence that they've gathered. I don't think they're bringing the bags out of the DOJ necessarily.
There's a thing when you guys have a chance, you guys can go look it up. I'm sure it's on the devil's Google, and it's called the wall stop in law enforcement.
Wall stomp or stop?
Stop. STOP. And you know, it's it's a very, very legal, but very uncomfortable scenario of how things work. And kind of what you described is that, but just on a much larger scale with a hell of a lot more moving parts, you know, and just a real basic, just so people understand a wall stop, just the real basics of it is if I'm just a regular beat cop in a police car and the feds, you know, or some, you know, state task force is working some massive operation to where they know, you know, Jimmy Bob's in that blue van and he's got a shitload of drugs and weapons going through it. And they know everything about him, what he's doing. However, that information is obtained off of hearsay from a witness or something like that gray area I was talking about. Well, they need a cop to stop that car. But if they call the cop and tell the cop, hey, listen, this is what's in that van, this, and this. Well, then it gets into if that cop was to stop this car and go to court, and then they ask him, why'd you stop it? And he says, well, I just stopped it for a broken tail light. Well, that gets into issues of Brady and line and kind of what I was talking about. So a wall stop is where you'll get this task force that reaches out to probably the sergeant and says, hey, you know, we need one of your guys. There's a car coming through here. We've been eyeballing it. If one of your guys can stop it, if one of your guys can find a reason to stop it, you know, right, we could definitely use that assistance right there, right? And so then you get, you know, Joe Alpha, right, to go on the freeway and it's like, oh, you know, his license plate frame's kind of covering the sticker. So there's my probable cause. I stop it. And then all of a sudden it's like, I find all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's this wall stop that doesn't compromise their investigation because nothing from their investigation was used to stop that vehicle. And again, it's more complicated than that. I think you guys would enjoy it if you looked into it. But it's to what you're talking about here. Now, here's an interesting thing about this handoff, or maybe even collaborations. Last month, Hegseth came out, and I pulled it. This was on July 13th. There are a bunch of different articles out there. I think The Guardian had a good one, but if you guys don't want to pay for it. And this one was from Fox News, and it says, Hegseth announces joint task force with DOJ to prosecute leaks to journalists with the full force of the laws. It's one of the first times that we saw him come out where military intelligence and the DOJ were working together in an operation that had to do with leaks. It's a pretty big damn deal right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And this is, I think, that's some of the most encouraging stuff that's happening, because I went on this rant a few weeks ago, but just basically the whole wrap-up smear thing with Pelosi, where she was, educating the American people on what a wrap-up smear is. But I think that a lot of the truth community didn't quite get what she was saying. I think they got the basics of it, which is like, hey, this is how we smear people in the media. We as politicians and as opposition, we are responding to stories that we have seeded into the media, and then, we wash those that way. But I don't think that's not what the wrap-up smear really is the most useful for. What it's most useful for is removing the enemy, to Alpha's point, removing legal responsibility from what they are talking about. So you get somebody in intelligence to be an unnamed source to break national security law by leaking to a journalist. The journalist knows that they are breaking national security law, and that they knew this in advance, which should destroy the journalists. That would destroy the journalists' legal protections if they know that they are laundering essentially illegal material, knowingly illegal material. They're not just talking to some insider. The insider washes his crime with the media outlet. The media outlet washes their crime with the unnamed sources protections that we grant them and should not. And I'm speaking as a guy who wanted to be a journalist back in the day, before you realize that they're just intelligence operatives. They should not have any of these protections. And then the politician washes themselves using the journalist, even though they know the source of the leak in the first place. So I agree with you, Alpha. It's not just a big deal because people in this audience are like, go get the media. It's a big deal because if you break that chain and you make it known that, hey, you operatives in the media that call yourselves media, like, you're effed. If you do this in the future, it's going to break that chain. So then even if you have deep state intelligence that wants to wash their info through the media will not take the info. Like, they break that side of the chain, and then the politician then can't talk about any of this stuff and launder the information without themselves breaking national security law. If you break that media chain, the politicians and U.S. intelligence lose all shielding, which is why the media, like, we've been saying this forever, but I think it's why Donald Trump declared war on the media first. It's not just that they lie all the time. I think it's like they are the most powerful shield that deep state intelligence and deep state politicians have, because both of them get to hide under media reporting.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify something in the audience, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Dr. OK says, is this just cops trying to justify an unlawful stop? No, there's nothing illegal that happens. It's just the understanding that you can have an operation that's in play for a year or 2 years on wires and surveillance. And if you give the cop that information in order to make the stop, and he makes a stop and makes an arrest, and then the district attorney's office decides to prosecute that case, that person now is entitled to discovery. That discovery is entitled to that huge investigation that may not be ready to go yet. And that actually brings it into this conversation of why I've always been telling people there has to be strategic timing to the RICO cases, because the second the first arrest is made that's from the RICO case, that person that's going to go forward, if they don't take a plea or they do a deal, if they decide I'm going to go to court, go to a trial, they're entitled to discovery. These attorneys know what questions to ask to figure out where this DOJ is going and who else is under wire. So, and like I said, and it's not like it's not kept a secret. The officer will, let's just say the officer ends up making an arrest and it goes to trial, or it goes to the DA's office. He's going to let the DA know, hey, I did do a wall stop. So the information's there. The DA just knows there was information privy that the officer didn't operate off of, nor did he even have the information from it. And it just protects the larger case that's at play.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It's nothing illegal.
Yeah. And on the DOJ front, my framing is more like that. Like, no, I'm not saying these guys all know all these crimes. I'm saying literally they are compartmentalizing the investigation from each other. So they really don't know. So they can actually go under oath, these different figures, and say, like, I don't know shit about that. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, And it's actually where some of the media reporting on the clown show, the clown car that's been the Trump DOJ, is going to bite them. Because if you get these DOJ officials under oath in these proceedings, whatever they are, whether they're DOJ proceedings or whether they're tribunals or something like that, they're not going to be lying when they're like, guys, you reported that I was only there for like 22 days. What do you mean this was part of some big conspiracy? I don't know anything. I was appointed on January 8th and I was fired or, graduated on January 23rd. That stuff's also going to make it hard for the media to be like, look at these. The media is at some point, if we get what we want, at some point, they're going to have to be wild and crazy conspiracy theorists to their audiences, being like, don't you see? Pam Bondi, when she was here, was putting together this, and then Todd Blanche, and he came, and they kept it from each other, and in 2016, John Huber did this, and he was talking to this guy, and like, they're going to have to lay out the most crazy sounding Q conspiracy ever, which will be true about what the Trump DOJ was doing, but the judges are just going to have shielding to be like, that's retarded. And
going back to Bindergate,
yeah,
a question. So I have a buddy that's actually now in the press pool, right? And so I want him to ask this damn question, but he's just like, nah, bro, I ain't gonna be that guy. But if you guys remember Bindergate, in one of the things they showed us, it outlined 6 phases. Why doesn't have a journalist come on and be like, hey, in those table of contents and out there, you were talking about the 6 phases, if that first part was phase 1 and yeah, we know it stopped and it never happened, but what were the other 5 phases? Like, does it resemble anything we've seen since?
It's all quite interesting. Let me get, as we round out here, let me grab, obviously you guys answer any of these you want to in more detail, but I'll grab some rants.
Okay.
We've got, what we got? Oh, Keith O'Higgins, old reliable. Speaking of deportations, did you hear ICE just captured Milo Yiannopoulos? Yes. He was prepared to move. He's gay and he had his shit packed. And he said Trump is no fan of the oil business. Just look how Trump ruined P. Diddy's baby oil business.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that Milo Yiannopoulos thing was fake because I saw it on the Badlands chat and I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's a real deal.
Made this
I snatched them up, man.
That's hilarious.
I love that.
Good one, Keith, by the way.
Before I go through the rest of the rants, let me hit our last sponsors, which includes ourselves in the form of self-disclosure.
These are the hands that built America. Hands that hammered. Hands that welded. Hands that carried the weight of a nation.
Soft disclosure offers healing for the hands, for the hands.
Good Lord, Randy.
Working hands take a beating.
These hands have built this nation.
Soft disclosure gives rough, dry skin lightweight hydration that absorbs fast without leaving your hands greasy. Every purchase supports 6 small American businesses.
One from everything they do, they're still
take care of the hands that take care of everything else.
The ones they love. Thanks, Papa. The hands that built me and you.
I feel like that one was like the reverse rug. The soft disclosure ads, they usually start normal and then they get weird. And that one starts weird and then just gets like wholesome. Because first time I saw it, I was like, what's going to happen? Where is this going? And it was just kind of wholesome.
We got to keep it.
I like that one. That one's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah. I like the pink chartreuse, Alpha. That's the best part.
Listen, I'm struggling with that, man.
I know. I heard you the other day. You were talking about that.
BB, what color is chartreuse?
I've never even heard that word before.
Chartreuse?
You're like, I only know a few colors, man. Why are you throwing out these random?
There only are a few colors to me.
I agree.
That's why I know exactly what I'm looking at, Cam.
Yeah, we're just.
That's why I've never got it twisted.
Yeah, you're the only one that knows the real colors. We're just giving you fake colors. It's all an op against you.
It could be. I'll never be able to disprove it, and neither will you. We're also brought to you by ourselves in the form of GART Vegas. All 4 of us will be there coming up in just a few weeks, like 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Go to badlandsmedia.tv/events. There are VIP tickets available. There are general admission tickets available. There are single-day tickets available now for any of you that are in SoCal area or the greater Vegas area, all that kind of stuff. You want to come hang out, but you only want to come to 1 day of panels or something like that. Grab a single-day ticket, badlandsmedia.tv/events. The virtual tickets are available, $35. They get you access to the best perk, which is the Telegram group that chills out all during the event. We're in there. All your fellow Badlands savages are in there. And those tend to keep going all the way until the next event. That Telegram channel has not opened yet for Vegas, but it will be opening probably in the next week or so. And we'll also get you access to the exclusive live streams we do, which I think we should probably start doing that next week. We'll probably start doing those next week leading up to the event. And you get exclusive access to those. So, yeah, should be fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me. It's been a year since I've been to GART.
Yeah,
so.
J-Trey.
Dude,
it's been a while.
Wow.
That venue's great, by the way. Anybody who hasn't been there, the Ahern was a fun place. It's more cozy kind of, cozy sort of environment in terms of where we'll all be hanging out. And you know what, John, by the way, guys, if you guys think John is vague to you guys, he tells you literally more than us about any of these events. So just like, that's not a joke. Everybody on this panel knows that is 100% true.
Yeah.
So you guys who are watching right now who are like, what does John mean when he keeps saying we're going to change up how we do the panels? Nobody knows.
No clue.
We don't know. John doesn't know. I promise you, John doesn't know. The event planner doesn't know. Nobody knows. But that's the charm of John, right? That's how we don't kill him. And it always ends up working out in his defense because we make it work out. We make it happen.
We'll make it happen no matter what.
It's going to be worth your it's going to be worth your money if you come hang out. We are not scarce. Anybody who has not been to a GART knows that sometimes to a fault we are not scarce. But
I think it's John's secret weapon to keep it authentic and not rehearsed.
Yeah. It's almost he almost goes a little too far sometimes. It's like you're playing this up a little bit.
Real story. This is from like Deadwood 2 years ago. Yeah, or maybe even the first one. I don't remember. But you know, we all know what panels, like probably the day we land, what we're gonna speak on, right?
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there. I get my tea or my coffee, whatever it is that I'm drinking, getting ready to watch the panel.
And you're on it.
He comes and grabs my arm. He's like, "You're on the panel." I'm like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Yeah, you are." And then so I look. I go, "I know nothing about this. You'll do fine."
Yeah.
And you did do fine. I was there. I remember that.
You'll do great. And of course, we're all gamesmen. We're all just gonna go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
And do it. But when BB says that, man, it is so damn accurate.
You know, I remember the first GART I spoke at was at Irvine, and I was nervous about it. You know, and John and I said, "John, what do I do to prepare for the panel?" He goes, "Absolutely nothing." He's like, the best ways to prepare is to not prepare. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, you know, and I was talking to some of the other people that were on that panel with me. And I'm like, so you guys didn't prepare either, right? And I'm like, no, we totally prepared stuff. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Look at all the
kids who did their homework. Yeah. No, that was for me at the first GART. I was nervous, even though people were like, why are you nervous? You've been just blabbing. You won't shut up. And I'm like, that's different, man. That's like, I'm looking at people on a screen. I got the feedback. And John was just making fun of me the whole time before the first panel where he's just like, look at this fag trying to like think about what he's going to say. But, you know, it does end up becoming what I think the strength is that, you know, they do feel different than the shows because even though we have rapport on the shows, they just end up kind of becoming, I think, and we got feedback from you guys too, where we tried to mess with it a little bit at a couple of the GARTs where we were like, we'll do pairs, we'll do really like deep dive topics. And I think people didn't like that because that's what a lot of our shows are. It's like, we're already doing that. And the best panels are where we just get up there and it's like, here's a general idea, go. And sometimes we all unify and sometimes we do not. And
it's kind of what this show is like, right? It's I mean, we don't know what we're going to talk about. We come on here and then you get into a discussion, we play off each other, and it's usually a pretty good show, so that's what it's like on the panels. And I'm going to take John's advice again and absolutely not prepare, probably because he won't even tell us till, like Alpha said, like 5 minutes before.
Here's the one thing I'll guarantee for you as an audience member. It doesn't matter which panel you walk away from. You are always going to walk away when you're going to go to break, you're going to go to lunch, you're going to conclude the day, you're going to know that was a real conversation. You will never, ever walk away not believing that was a real conversation that you listened to.
And the best part is you'll be able to have real conversation with any one of us at all times outside of the panels. I mean, the panels are cool, but as we've said many, many times over with GART, the best time is after hours and in between panels and just chit chatting with everybody and picking brains Jay, and stuff.
This venue I think is particularly suited to that.
Yep.
Because I remember that feeling that way at the Ahern last time, where it's just like at Deadwood, the venue is awesome. There's a reason we've been there 3 times now. But Deadwood, it's like you go out into Deadwood, right? And there's people here, there's people there. That's part of the charm of it. Vegas, I'm not a strip guy. I'm not gonna hit the strip. But the hotel itself, they've got bars there. They've got a karaoke place. They've got the area with the panels and everything. And it's just a much more hang out in a nice Vegas hotel. And people are just there the whole time, which makes for a good environment for that. So yeah, check us out. If you guys are late to the ticket party, they're still available. So join us over there.
It's too far to walk to the strip, so nobody wants to waste the time to get a car service, but just hangs out.
There are times, I hate this, but it's true. Now that I have a kid, the thing I did not expect having a kid, I expected to be I'm probably going to love this thing a lot and really want nothing bad to happen to him. And that happened. I was like, oh, I do love him a lot. What I didn't expect is that I was going to value my own life way more than I did because of that little shit. And I'm like, God damn it. Now I have to survive for a long time, not just to protect him, but because he's just fun to hang out. I want to hang out with him as long as I can. So the problem with that is these choices that I used to make, at Vegas last time. And I'm not even talking about the obvious stuff like drinking too much. At Vegas last time, I grew up in South Boston area, so I do stupid shit. You take risks. You get into fights. Maybe occasionally you get stabbed or something. And in Vegas, I did, by the way. In Vegas, I went out for 2 a.m. I'm hungry and I want snacks. And, there was nowhere in the hotel open. So I'm like, I'll just walk around Vegas. I went out
in that area behind.
You're foraging in Vegas for food. I get it.
Most places in Vegas, the area just a block away is not where you want to be hanging out. So I was
just off the main drag. You are.
Yeah, I survived. Obviously, nothing happened. I didn't kill anybody or stash any bodies, but I'll never tell you. But yeah, it was just I normally wouldn't even care. My brother used to live in South Boston. I used to go during college. I'd be out there all the time. You get used to it. You get used to kind of the vibe. And, usually though, you're with a group of 5 other guys, maybe, when you're walking around there. And it was the first time, and I think it's because I had a newborn, that I was walking around being you idiots. Everybody I was walking by on the strip, I'm you're going to get shot or you're going to kill somebody or some shit is going to happen. And because you wanted a 2 a.m. mobile hot dog that's going to give you diarrhea or some shit.
Where my room was, you could look down. You remember where that steak place is to the right? Yeah, if you follow that block all the way down, there's a little liquor store at the very end of it. But from my vantage point, you could see what surrounds that liquor store. And so you're just no. Now
you guys want the pro tip? You want to know what to do?
Yeah.
You bring Cam.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm one of those
50-50,
people,
man.
I'm one of those people.
That's true.
Oh, that's a good point.
Just don't talk, Cam.
No. You're
just wear the hoodie. Just wear the hoodie, but don't say a word.
No, I'll tell you guys right now. My thing is, I'm that guy that at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever city I'm in, I usually just go out on a walk. I just go outside and walk. I just go.
I actually like
see
doing
homeless
that.
people,
and it's stupid, but
like people doing crazy drugs, nasty stuff. But I go walk around the area. It's just something I do everywhere I go.
Good time.
Me too. I just don't pre-plan it. I just
one in 3 of those homeless people is going to have MRSA. The other
I
two
will say
have something else nasty.
Yeah.
One good thing, and I think it's because it's Trump 2.0. They're giving us white folks a wide berth lately. I've noticed it. Like, I feel like 5 years ago, walking around, you'd be getting some looks. Like, maybe I'll try them. And lately, I'll be like, we're still in the Trump term, bitch.
Trump brought some street cred to the white boys.
Stay over there. We know what's going on. So anyway, if that didn't scare you guys up, like there's a bunch of people that just bought tickets and they're like, "Whoa!" No, the venue is great and it's actually super nice.
Yeah, it is. But that's just Vegas in general.
But
you get outside
in the air.
Do not wander 5 feet away.
Or take Cam. Make sure he wears a hoodie.
Or take Cam.
Tell him not to talk. Because if Cam don't talk,
walking buddy.
If Cam don't talk and you're walking with them, it's like you're with Denzel. You're good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But if they hit you up, right, like where you guys from, then this is where Carlton comes out and you're fucked.
No. I am the king of de-escalation. I could be talking to a black panther and a Klansman, and I could have them just laughing together at the end of the conversation.
That's the problem. The fact that
I
you
threatened
used
first
the word,
and hit second. Yeah.
the fact that you even said the word de-escalation, that's why we're all gonna get shot.
That's not the word I'm using. That's not the word I'm using, Alpha. That's not the word I'm using.
I take the Besant approach in more ways than one, but I just for dominance, not for gay stuff.
Okay.
But you gotta throw your weight around sometimes as a power top, and I believe in, as Besant himself said at the beginning of the Iran war conflict, escalate to de-escalate. That's my move, and it's worked every time except for that one time. But it was fine. I survived. Snowcat gifted a sub. The Final Demand gifted 5 subs. Appreciate both of you doing that. The Final Demand sent that 100 rant over earlier, which we very much appreciate. We got to that. G Fontes, the Straight Emerald Dragon said Besant 2028. I'm okay with that. G Fontes, the Strait of Hormuz will be closed at least till one of 3 or more things happen. Ukraine, EU quit, USA leaves or NATO ends altogether, and or USA enters OPEC, in my opinion. Also think MOHAP is part of a blockade. You think the US is going to enter OPEC? My son, I think you need to look at the trends that are going on right now. I mean, maybe, but... Emerald Dragon. Also, BB, I love how you called everyone faggots immediately and proceeded to full screen yourself, you faggot. Also, thanks for handling ball busting like a fellow New Englander. Alpha gets sensitive. He does. I've noticed that. He does. He's one of those teddy bears.
I forgot you did that at the beginning of the show. He said, "Sup, Fags."
What's up, Fags? Me.
Yeah. I'll show you guys. This was me a couple hours before the show. This is a real picture from this evening. And we need captions on this of what I am thinking in this moment as I look at this motherfucker. Look at this guy.
Let's zoom in on him.
You get what you deserve.
Yeah, it's exactly what went through my head, Cam. Yeah. You deserve to get bit.
Yeah. I'm about to watch this guy die. That's what I'm thinking. I'm about to go watch this
I just
guy
keep waiting for that beautiful red spray to light up.
You might actually be excited when that happens just because you're like, I
kinda, because I like being right more than anything else. I'm not one of these humble fags that pretends that doesn't juice me. I get excited when I nail a Scott Besant prediction. You're damn right. That keeps me going. It's like Brady throwing a touchdown. I want that. You should want your InfoWar people to celebrate when they get shit right. Enough of this humble shit, right?
That's
Nobody
right.
buys it to begin with. I live for this shit. I love it. I think it's important. But yeah, I'm really excited when I'm right. Okay? And everyone on this panel is excited when they're right. And everybody in the chat should be excited when you're right. And if I'm right about you going down in a pool of your own blood because you were out there paddling around with great whites, sorry, man.
And people that complain about it, how long is it going to take? You know, like that. It takes as long as it takes. And if Burning Bright didn't have to do the show tonight, he'd still be standing in that same spot waiting to see that dorsal fin pop up out of the water and prove him right.
He wouldn't be waiting.
At his funeral.
That guy was probably 10 minutes after you left. That guy was probably chummed.
Oh, he was. Just
You know what actually makes me mad though, besides the retardation of it, is that if there are lifeguards on duty, they're supposed to go in. And that's what pisses me off. They're not going to probably, but that's what actually pisses me off is because it's like, dude, if you go down in a spray of great white feasting, people are supposed to go out there and get you, like grab you up. So it's just, such a selfish thing to do. It's so retarded. And they're everywhere.
One, I didn't know that. I thought if you're drowning, they're supposed to go save you. But if you're getting eaten, that's your fault. I mean, like that's your
exactly.
Call Aquaman, man. Call Aquaman. I'm good, bro.
Yeah, I saw that video, Jay.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Being a shark survivor, man. That ain't no game.
But those were just waves. That was not shark. I don't know if I've seen anybody
could have been sharks in those
run
waves.
out.
Maybe
there
the sharks drowned
him.
him. Maybe they were trying to drown that kid.
Maybe.
Don't play games with the sharks,
dude. There was a hammerhead shark off the coast of California. We don't get that at all. Did you see that picture, Alpha?
Talcancon.
Yeah.
Talcancon.
I heard they can't.
No.
There was a tiger shark where I live this summer, and they are not usually up here, so that's not good. We get great whites. People will be like, "Oh, aren't great whites more dangerous?" They technically are, but great whites, they're very easy to discern their hunting patterns. So, like, they got to be in deep water. Although my mom, who finally I shark pilled, because my parents used to scuba dive off the Boston Harbor Islands, like death wish freaks, and finally I like cracked through because there were not great whites here 20 years ago. They're everywhere. They're fucking everywhere. And my parents kept scuba diving for a couple years after that, and I was like, Mom, like, you're gonna get jacked because they go down in these harbor islands where the harbor seals are.
Yeah,
and
you're in a
wetsuit. They get snatched. People get
you're
snatched.
You're in a wetsuit. You look like
this is a small seal, and this one's slow. This is
slow. Yeah, this one's slow.
So finally,
the wounded wildebeest at the back of the pack, right? Like
she finally refused like 2 summers ago to say like to my dad and was like, we're not doing this. Is like very stupid to go look for lobsters in murky Boston water where there are monsters swimming around in the darkness. But anyway, yesterday she texted me because they're down in my area. They're down in this town not far from me where there's, ocean, and they've got these marshes everywhere. So there's salt rivers that feed under the roadways and then go into these salt marshes. And some of them have these little sandy beaches, and the marshes will be like, 5 feet deep, maybe at the apex. And she was literally like taking her shirt, like had her bathing suit on, gets her shorts off, goes to get into the water, and the alarms go off because in the river there was a great white had just strolled right in, came right in. It was a juvenile. It was only about 7 feet long, but who cares about that?
Tiny.
But like that's that shit I'm always talking about, where it's like the false sense of security people have. And they're like, well, this water isn't over there, and it's like the water's connected.
And they can swim really fast.
Yeah,
we are at a very big disadvantage in the water. I always say we'd be born with gills and fins if we were supposed to be in the water. I like the ocean. I like looking at it. I don't like being in it.
Boats are fun.
Yeah,
that's true. Isaiah 50. Actually, I skipped one. Luck the dog. Trucks need diesel, and the companies have to pass the cost to consumers, and so on it goes. I also think that regulations need to be cut as part of the solution. Yeah, I'm saying the input cost, the diesel, is being gouged. And then, they know everything else comes up from there. Isaiah 50, $10. Sussing out bad actors in fiction warfare is like making a clinical diagnosis. Symptoms A, B, and C are treason or elite capture until proven otherwise. Possible. Final demand, $100. Another $100.
Wow.
My question is ultimately very simply, is it legal? And I think Alpha did a good job with that part of it. But thank you so much, Final Demand.
Thank you very much.
$200 tonight. The Boom Diggity with a hundo. I thoroughly enjoyed Scotty B excoriating Pharmahontas today. Thanks for a great show, gentlemen. P.S. Remember to raid Bay Base show coming up. I don't even think I have the power to do that on this stream, but you can see.
Did you guys see that the roast of Elizabeth Pocahontas?
I didn't see that.
Oh, bro, it was so funny.
I missed it too. Was it?
Do it some other time on one of your shows or something. Okay. Just look at it when you're done. But it's hilarious. You will absolutely love it. It'll be good night reading.
If anybody has a quick link in the chat, just shoot it over. I mean, if it's long, we can't do it. But if it's like a minute.
I think it's
Keith O'Higgins, the Lake America is a teaching psyop. Kids were taught the acronym HOMES to remember the Great Lakes. Now Superior, Huron, America, Michigan, Erie spells shame. A shame kids can't afford homes. Okay, Keith. G. Fontes, is vote on Alpha's hat like the feminine tense for Vato?
You ain't right, G. Fontes.
Keith O'Higgins, I wouldn't mind looking like Seal if it meant banging Heidi Klum.
I read that one. That was hilarious. Oh, BB at the bottom if you wanna pull it up.
Seal's like the only black man that was actually black.
No, Wesley Snipes, bro.
Wesley Snipes. He also didn't pay taxes.
Yeah, based.
Which was based.
You want to read it, BB?
I gotta look up Wesley Snipes.
Yeah,
he's dark, but I don't
can't read it on this
dark.
screen.
You can't read it. All right, I'll read it. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says in her latest, I looked this word up, Sealistic letter to me, Senator Warren made it clear that she knows even less about foreign exchange markets than she does about banking. What is equally shocking but not surprising, not a single member of the media mob has a rudimentary enough level of financial market literacy to spot her remedial error. To reiterate, under POTUS, the United States delivers for Americans' trusted partners. For a fuller explanation, I recommend Senator Warren take an entry-level course in international finance for her and her staff, or I can personally give her a tutorial on foreign exchange for dummies. Although I'm not holding my breath, I hope her next letter will demonstrate that she has learned the difference between a currency purchase and a swap or a loan. And then if you read the actual thing, it's hilarious. So people read that on your own time. But that's
good shit,
dude.
Scotty B. I told you guys I was early on that. I said Scotty B 2024. I said, this is the guy. This is the guy. I started writing about him a lot in 2025, but he's based. He's an actual narrative fusion. He's mimetic. He's low key funny. He's involved in a lot of narratives, but he is doing some real shit. And he's actually, to Alpha's earlier point tonight about the white hats, black hats, and we don't know. Scott Bessent is like Exhibit A, because understandably, people in this world with a cursory glance at him will be like, whoa. Like, you worked for George Soros and made him his billions and everything. And Scott Bessent will tell you, you're damn straight I did. And I was damn good at it. But now...
He actually got asked that question.
I saw that. Yeah. And his answer was great. He didn't shy away from it at all.
Mm-hmm. No.
He said, I was damn good at it. I made him a lot of money. And he was like, this was before he was publicly involved in all this social engineering, or at least we knew about it, which is true, by the way. Soros disclosures weren't until the last 10 years or so. But, just look at his actions. Look at, you don't have to think Scott Bessent's the best guy in the world. Is he the best man for the job?
Yeah.
And you go in and get, I've been calling him since 2024. He said, 2024, before the Trump administration, he's sitting in Davos and he said, I envision a global economic reordering, and I would like to be a part of it. And I wrote at the time, this man looks like I said, this man is a demolitions expert. So if Trump brings him in, that's a sign that he is demolishing something. And I think we see it.
Yeah, I saw him in when Trump came to speak in Marietta, where we live. I saw Scott Bessent up close because he spoke there. Dude's imposing. He's an imposing guy. I would say he's probably around 6'2", man. He's not a tiny guy.
I mean, we're told he's fighting people in the White House all the time.
The guy looked like he could whoop some ass.
Supposedly, he supposedly punched Elon in the face, and I think that's kayfabe. Like, I think sometimes I like to think that, you know, the guys on the squad are just having fun with each other. Like, did you see the story we planted about you? And Besson comes into work and they're like, whoa, like, whoa, Scotty.
Don't hit me.
That's how they prank each other. They prank each other with like world-renowned stories of breakups and fights. And they're like, they fought in the Oval Office. Like, gotcha, bitch.
And it's actually an unnamed source in the Oval Office that's giving the stories. So they have to report on it. It's just like, yeah. And then tell them that, and then I said, you're the power bottom now, bitch.
No, that's the stuff too. When you see that kind of confidence that they can just have fun with this stuff, like, that is what gives me hope,
somebody took it too far and left cocaine in the White House.
Things got a little crazy. We are currently being led in war by a nation by a gay treasury secretary with a pink house. And I am all for it. So.
I think it's chartreuse.
Shut up, Jay.
This is fake. All right, guys. That's all we got for you. Thanks for joining us. I don't know when we're going to see you guys next. See Cam tonight.
Get your GART tickets, guys.
Yeah, get your GART tickets.
But yeah, you'll see me at 7:30
a lot of
Eastern.
night walkers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fired up for GART. Come meet us.
Yeah.
Get you some soft disclosure.
And that too.
Yeah, we're going to hunt homeless people.
Wait.
It's going to be all kinds of fun.
BB, did you didn't mention the Blitz. Is the Blitz tomorrow?
The Blitz is tomorrow.
Yeah.
10 a.m. Eastern. It hits the Substack. If you are subscribed to the Substack, Ash and I did an episode in which I make an analogy between Canadians and seagulls. And it works.
I'm excited for that.
That's the tease.
Well, there you go, man. I'm tuning in.
Yeah. The narrative is Sunday night, 9 o'clock. I'm going to do a solo show. So now nobody will watch, but
no, we'll watch.
I'm just going to ramble on some stuff. Get it out of my head. What about the rest of you freaks?
Isn't that our draft?
I know. That's why I'm like,
do you come on?
John just announces the draft.
Our draft's at 8
Draft's
Eastern
at 8.
time, and BB show's at 9. So we might be done.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, it's gonna cut into your show.
I know.
I say we just cut the draft and then just go straight to the narrative.
Speaking of John Harold and the things he does, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll have a show. Maybe I won't. I mean, we'll see. Anyway, all right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.
The only button available to me says I need to play the outro again to end the stream. So, hold on a second, guys. If you're still here, we could just do a whole another show. But I think I'm going to have to play the outro again and end the stream that way, because I didn't realize this was a fancy stream where the end the stream button. Usually I just click end stream and then Jess does some stuff on the back end and all the buttons, I don't have to press any more buttons. But this time, the button says play outro and end stream, but I manually played the outro already, guys. You see. So, I will have to play it again, I think. And, yeah, I'm going to have to play the outro again, guys. So, Alpha is going to sign.
Well, that was dirty. We'll catch you next time. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm not frozen. I'm just...
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget...
I literally just clicked the same button again by accident. So, all right, sign us off for real now, Alpha. Ready?
Good night, God bless, and Semper Fi.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.